Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hooked on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been golden when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hooked on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like LeBron James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. The field's not falling for the FOMO. Listening to coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum entities. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out
Started
to
off with a
40.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hooked on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
Breaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, mighty, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. Had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the ride with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
GM, welcome to Coffee with Captain. I'm Cap. Happy Monday, everyone. Hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy the NFL draft and whatever other activities you got into. I got some background noise. Where's that coming from? We got it. We figured it out. Since I'm saying that, let me double check, make sure all our audio. Yeah, we are good. Speaking of audio, let me do this right now. I'm going to pin up top the reminder for tomorrow's show. And while there's a chance we have a change of plans, I do believe we are going to go audio only spaces, old school audio only spaces, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Traveling will be out at Bitcoin conference and Dominion in Vegas. And the following week will be in Miami for Consensus, and we'll be doing video then. It's easier to drive with the equipment than fly, and it's also 5 a.m. So I will, much easier for me just to throw in some headphones and do it from my hotel bed as opposed to getting up and showering. I kid, but probably most likely just going to go audio only. So hit that reminder up top so you don't miss us when we go live. Tomorrow we'll be live from Bitcoin conference. Actually, no, tomorrow, well, it'll be live, but I won't be there until after the show tomorrow. And then Wednesday's show will actually be in Vegas for the show. But if anyone's out there today, well, you'd be sleeping most likely, and conference hasn't started yet. But safe travels, everyone who is traveling. If you are out there and want to get a couple extra days in at Dominion, let me know. We will actually head over to luma.com/Dominion 2026. Use code CWC to get a discount there. Smaller, intimate conference, pretty cool venue, and a lot of movers and shakers, leaders from both crypto, Web3, and the OG domainer space. Really looking forward to it. Looking forward to this conference season. It feels like, momentum is certainly back. And while it is back, it's not even back. It's kind of shocking to me how Mel, I'm not sure who you mean when you say who is we, or what you're alluding to. I might have just, I don't say I very often. I don't know. I had a mentor at a young age told me not to use I. Just sounds like you're always talking about yourself. And my entire life, I've built businesses with large teams, sales, high performing sales teams. And so I just never felt comfortable or felt it was right to use the word I. Almost everything I've done has been a team effort. And even Coffee with Captain, while it's just two of us most of the time nowadays, Payne is certainly a big part of what we do here. And I don't want to be taking credit for anything he's doing, solely for anything he's doing behind the scenes. But back to my earlier point on, we are back. Momentum's certainly back. And we as the collective, yes. And despite that, it's not widespread yet. And this, please don't take this the wrong way. Don't take this out of context. And I'm not going to, guys, I love them. I enjoy the show. But it hit me this morning. Well, first of all, yesterday, I'll pin those up top as well. A couple of great spaces. One I've not listened to yet, actually, so I shouldn't say it was great for sure. But saw some feedback on a second space yesterday afternoon. Yesterday morning, Loki had a big space. There was, I'll pin it up top. Actually, shoot, I don't think that one had the link in it. Let me find the actual spaces link. There we go. So Loki's NFT space, Proof Alpha Degen and Machiavelli host with him. They've been doing this every Sunday for as long as I can remember. And it's usually a good show, but usually might have like a few hundred people in it. Yesterday, there was, throughout a majority of the show, about 500 concurrent, and hit almost 5,000 over the course of a couple hours. And just reconfirmed, it was another data point that things have shifted. And it's not just floor price. Like, I don't care. I mean, I do care. I shouldn't say that. But I even said over the weekend, like, we've shifted, I believe, hopefully, with now that, and I know I'm in the minority that I think royalties were a really big deal, and the race to zero on royalties from the NFT marketplaces was part of the detriment of the NFT industry. Yes, things got, it was a mania, it was a bubble, it burst. But what exasperated the dip in floors and overall prices was the elimination of royalties by these NFT marketplaces, further compounded by incentivized farms from these NFT marketplaces. First, it was incentivized bidding, and then incentivized buying, and big net negatives on a space that's just was never, when things were popping off, not just prices, but when activity and excitement and engagement, it was, those things didn't exist. And I think those things brought it down. And what you saw was when royalties went away, when the marketplaces were incentivizing people to bid on NFTs and then subsequently dump their NFTs they buy into bids, because they weren't buying them to buy. Well, what that was doing is, not only was it continually driving the floor prices down, it was an inhibitor for real collectors collecting the assets they wanted to collect. Most of the savvy ones knew it was like catching a falling knife, and they would just wait. And I think now that that's gone, hopefully it's gone forever. We're seeing more and more collectors collect, like more so than floors going up, and most collections are up big. We'll get a daily market update here in a bit. I shouldn't say most. A lot of these sales are well above floor. Like there was a rare Grail mutant that just sold for higher than the floor price of Bored Apes. If someone's buying something for a short-term flip, they're not doing that. They just go buy a floor ape and they flip it, or they buy 5 mutants instead of paying up for a Grail if they want. We saw just yesterday, a Trippy Ape sell for 50 ETH. We saw, and that was to, again, a Thor, who's a big collector, been in space for a while. We saw the set of gold apes sell for $282,000. That was Adam. It also was a space ape, so I think that was the best buy of the weekend. And while this is, I'm going back through I was looking for one post, I'm seeing others, so I'm just going to spam the timeline. Looking for the post I really wanted to share. They're mixed in with a few sports tweets. I'm all in the fields with LeBron and wanting him to see him make a run to the finals and in draft season. Congrats Stephonics, by the way, for printing on the ApeCoin trade last week. And this one post I was looking for, I'm not finding, but yeah, busy weekend. Here's the other thing, like, holy cow, engagement's way up on talking NFTs. And so I don't know. I'm not finding the post I was looking for, but maybe I'll find it here in a bit. My bigger point, landing the plane or attempting to land the plane, and then we'll get into things here. And if anyone has, as always, if you're new here, Coffee with Captain, we go live every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time on X Audio Spaces, X Video Spaces, Abstract, and YouTube almost every day. Like I said earlier, the exception will be this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll probably just be doing the audio only spaces. But I felt like my timeline's been overwhelmingly. I've seen more NFT talk in the last week than I've probably seen in the last 6 months. And I do. I'm not trying to glaze him. I'm not trying to just give credit, but if you've been around, there was a few weeks ago we had Figgy on the show before it was announced he was CEO. I think he'd maybe taken the reins right around that time. And prior to that, a couple days before, I provided some pretty candid feedback, just publicly and then privately in DMs. But I care about the club element of not just the Board of Yacht Club, but the community element of so many of these other NFTs. And it just had felt like so many had went away from that. You even saw some NFT, not founders, some case founders or presidents, CEOs, whatever title they're using, that they're just a digital art collection. Like utility is gone, like and leaning completely out of utility. And it's fine if you don't want to be providing token airdrops or gated access to a live event or something. I get all that. It's the challenging for someone looking for product market fit or a revenue source to to provide some sort of ongoing utility. But so much of the space was the excitement, the momentum was around communities. It was around collecting traits and those like not even just grails, like mid rares or clean aesthetic NFTs. Like there was really a collectible conversation, just like in the physical collectible world. People care about what grade it is, and that stuff mattered. And we just, because of, I'm not blaming Blur, I'm not blaming OpenSea or Magic Eden or the marketplaces, but it absolutely played a big impact, played a role, played a tremendous impact, I feel, in removing all that. Because then, we don't have royalties, we can't provide this utility. Oh, we're just going to be an art collection. Oh, we need to reach people outside of crypto and Web3. We need to go find new customers. I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but it seemed like many just threw in the towel. And when I shared some feedback, or I don't know, maybe you could say vented a little bit, ranted a little bit, specifically about the Board of Yacht Club, was Ape Fest was awesome. Got a lot of people all fired up about all that's coming, all that's happening. And then, I don't know, 5-6 months go by, and while they ship like daily, weekly, if not daily, in the other side, we hadn't really seen many updates or heard any updates on the club side of things, to the point where I was even hearing some OGs were thinking, man, I think the ruggedness on the clubhouse, real conversations I was having. People thought that the clubhouse wasn't happening. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. I don't think they would have said it at this point, but nevertheless, I don't see any hands. If there's maybe take a lap, I see no requests. I see no hands. So yeah, if you are, if you're out there trying to get up on stage, maybe take a lap. Because I don't see anyone. Oh, there we go. I would in saying that, it wasn't, again, we were just having the conversation. Well, there was a lot happening. I didn't doubt they weren't working, but just the hunger for those updates, the building, not just building in public, but the alignment with holder base and supporter base. And I think that's part of what makes this space so special is you do have, I know not equity holders, but I would also say that a lot of the people that are active crypto participants, that are active Web3 participants, specifically those in NFTs, are far more passionate than shareholders for most publicly traded companies. That actually care, like a lot of shareholders of publicly traded companies, sure, they care about number go up, but I don't know as many like I hold stocks. I could care less about the brand. Like I'm not passionate about the brand. I think the data is good. And part of what I think makes NFTs so special is you really do develop raving fans, people who feel like real stakeholders, more so vested than a lot of shareholders of publicly traded companies. And giving not just Yuga, not just Figgy, others deserve credit as well, but giving credit where credit's due, Figgy kind of started the trend. So they had, before the announcement was made that Garga was moving into the chairman role, and Figgy was assuming the CEO role. I'm going to repost that again now. I think it feels good timing. So that announcement came on April 16th. So 11 days ago. All this happened in 11 days. But before that was announced, because he did mention on April 16th, Figgy mentioned a few weeks ago, I stepped up and became CEO at Yuga. I don't know this to be a fact. I'm connecting some dots, a little bit of speculation here, but I believe a lot of the activity we started seeing surging, not just on the other side, but also the club side, in particular, 30 some in real life meetups. I talked about the fun I had at the Tampa paintball, which was a Saturday that, a bunch of us got together and we played paintball for like 4 hours. Mm-hmm. And while that may seem small individually, everyone was, not only was it to remind everyone that was there, like, oh, the people of this club really are great. This is part, like the friends we made along the way. Maybe it's a meme, but it really does hit. There's been, the Florida group chat has been popping off since then. Some people OG, some people brand new, but it is brought back the level of community that had kind of faded for a bit. And my bigger point being is they started doing that. They launched, and then you see not just the in real life meetups, but the constant shipping at a rate that gave me early 2021 vibes, gave me early Bored Ape Yacht Club vibes. There was it's like, I know it wasn't, but it seemed like every day there was something new, something to talk about, something to get excited about. You're never going to make everyone in a club of thousands of people happy or excited about everything. Hence why the continual updates were great, because there was always something going on, and maybe only 1 in 5 things resonated with you. Well, you still had something on like a weekly basis that you were excited about. Maybe a little bit of hyperbole there. Monthly, at least on a monthly basis, there was something that you could have got excited about. And when I'm trying to like have two conversations at once here. One, Bored Ape Yacht Club and Yuga, and then the space at large. And I'm also not just trying to make this a you conversation. It's much bigger than that. And case in point was this NFT space yesterday that had nearly 5,000 people tune in, with quite literally dozens of leaders throughout the NFT, from team leads to CEOs to founders and all across the board. But because it happens to be the one I'm closest to and have been in since the very beginning, well, since Mint, I don't want to say it's not easy. It's very hard, and you're never going to please everyone. But I do think it's kind of simple in the sense of the how. Like the what is challenging, and it's different for all. But this idea of building in public, I need a better word for it, because it's not just like, we don't need every update, but the alignment, the feeling a part of something. And again, I'm trying to choose my words carefully. I don't want anyone to think I don't want anything to be taken out of context to say like, oh, none of these teams they just took like 3 years off. They just weren't working for the last 2 years. I know that's not true. But when there's new things, small, medium-sized, large, humongous, being shipped or activated on a regular basis, it creates a real flywheel, not an algorithmic flywheel in the case of token works or anything like that. It creates a real flywheel where there's always something going on. There's people talking, then you see more on the timeline, then you see other people wanting to get in, and it's not just celebrities. It's not just, people picking up their first mutant, i.e. Hizzy, and joining the club, checking off an aspirational goal. It's everything in between. One of my posts was, I got a text from someone who remained nameless, but he said 2021 vibes are effing back. And when we're saying 2020, from someone who was here in 2021, early 21, those vibes weren't the floor price. Is it exciting when you wake up and, oh, the floor is up 10% today. Oh, the floor is up 30% this week. It's doubled in a month. Yeah, sure, it's exciting. But that is a effect, not the cause, I believe. The cause of what's driving the floor to go up, what's driving the momentum, is this idea of building a startup in collaboration with thousands of other stakeholders who feel like they're equity owners. No, they're not. But whether someone minted one of these NFTs for anywhere from free to $200 or 2 ETH, or they bought it last week, it's not, unless it was a free mint, it's not nothing. Like a lot of times it's a sizable investment. And like fanning those flames was a phrase Steve used to say all the time. Like help the community, help promote your brand, activate those brand ambassadors. It's one of the magical pieces that is unlocked on chain, is this network effect of so many rabid fans. And it's like if you don't use it, you lose it. Meaning, if there's nothing for those fans to talk about, as more time goes by, less stuff happens. So long story short, it was, here's these 30 live events, localized events, which I think is setting up for the Clubhouse, setting up for Ape Fest 2026, setting up for what they want to do in real life. But beyond the live events, you saw, I think I pinned up top, there was conversations about a sales bot, and Figgy and Quid had a conversation about the sales bot. Next day it's shipped. That's what I was saying. Like, that reminds me of 2021 NFTs, because constantly there was something new. Like we had Mint, and then it feels like weeks later we had Doggos, and then a few months later we had apes or mutants, and then a few months later we had the first ape. It's like there was always something. It's like, forget NFTs for a second. People talk like, it's good to have a trip planned. It's good to have something to look forward to. It just puts you in a better, so having something to look forward to, or something to talk about, big or small, it it keeps the momentum moving forward, as opposed to if months go by without updates or communications, not only can that momentum stall, it can start going backwards. And then you combine that with no incentivized bidding, no farming. So you then have collectors stepping in and collecting what they want to collect. And now you've got you've got momentum on the building side, you've got momentum on the market side. And it really is a 1 + 1 = 3 type situation. There's, again, back to it's not easy, but simple in the sense that, like, is a sales bot that big of a deal? You wouldn't think so. Like, is a sales bot worthy of sending a floor price up? You wouldn't think so. Is a sales bot something that's going to expand beyond whatever particular collection launches it? You wouldn't think so, but it certainly did. You saw, you know, Figgy talked about it. Not only did Quit turn it around in like a day, Pudgy launched a new one. You saw other collections launch one. And this is, I think, the other magic of crypto native brands and NFTs in particular is it is such a small space, and it is on the cutting edge of tech. Should be, you know, the experimenting on chain, the doing new things on chain, or even old things, but redoing them, doing them better. Things like a sales bot, and then you get another, and then you get Pudgy doing a sales bot, and then it's this. It's not PvP, but it is. It's like it's competition is a good thing. It doesn't have to. It's not cutthroat. It's not zero sum. But if it pushes others to do more. It starts with a sales bot. The next thing you know, it leads to a large activation. You know, in addition to the sales bot, they started Yuga Grails. And you're like, well, is that really needed? Like, what's that really going to impact? I don't know. Look at all the Grails selling recently. It's your, and I think does that work in an environment where we have NFT marketplace farming and incentivized bidding? Probably not. Maybe it does, but I don't think it has near the success as it's seen early on. Because those that would your Grail collectors, outside of a few, most aren't going to collect Grails or buy above floor during an era where, you know, the next day the floor could be undercut by 100 bids from someone who is just farming a marketplace. So I think you've got a lot of factors that are really playing into this resurgence. And what got me even more excited this morning was it's not even that widespread yet. Not only have we not made it outside of the crypto natives, it's not even made it through crypto Twitter yet. Like, true story, I saw a post yesterday. I'm going to see if I can go find this one. I don't know why I'm struggling so much finding just a couple of posts that I was looking for, but I saw one post that had a chart of the Bored Ape Yacht Club floor price being up. Like, basically, they said, oh, it's the Bored Ape Yacht Club floor price is 2x in the last month, and no one's talking about it. I'm like, no one's talking about it. Like, my timeline has been like covered. Like, it feels like 80% of it is people picking up an ape or a mutant or their second mutant or third mutant. Like, it's been a fury of activity in people talking about this momentum being back over the past couple of weeks. But yet some people just saw it yesterday for the first time. This morning on Modern Market, some guys who are really dialed in, like, have been dialed into this space. They've been hosting a daily show for, you know, hundreds of shows. It's where I often like pregame before this show to catch up on like some other areas of the market I'm not as dialed into. And they were like taken back by it this morning. They had like, because they haven't talked about NFTs for a while, and they're like, well, what's causing this resurgence? And like, and the first thought or answer was like, oh, I bet I wonder if it's the token works, the ape strategy, the flywheel started flywheel, and that's what it's like. Yeah, that's a thing. That's nothing. Like, I shouldn't say nothing. Maybe like 1% of an impact as related to this recent momentum. But it's like, if you don't know, you don't know. If you don't see it, you don't see it. And while my algorithm has been very much so popping off, and it's, I mean, we even before this recent run up, you can check the tapes. It was really about the beginning of the month, before all this started, that bottom was in. Like you could see things were changing. So before even knew Figgy had stepped into the role of CEO, you were seeing stuff because there was a lot of excitement around these in real life meetups. There was a lot of excitement about the clubhouse got reconfirmed. And okay, they heard the feedback from the community. They want to be more involved. They want to get more updates. And oh, by the way, to be fair, they had been providing those at the clubhouse, which is not only in Bubbles, but it's also streamed on Spaces. And sorry, I was reading another post, got distracted. All these announcements, all these little things like a sales bot and grails and the in real life meetups, it's none of them by themselves are anything major, but when there's seemingly something new, and then you can expand on that when you talk about every week there's something new being shipped in other side. So now it's not just those that are deep in other side, it's those who are really passionate about the club, are really passionate about in real life. In real life is the alpha, and one is feeding the other. You're seeing people from the ape chain community that spend their every day in other side, completing their task and earning their XP. They're now picking up their first ape and joining the other side of the community. You're seeing people that are picking up their first ape or first mutant, and then they get in, and then they're joining the other side. Like they're feeding each other, and I think arguably just as bigger of an impact is it's a rising tide lifts all. It's encouraging people like Luca and Pudgy to, and this isn't just me saying this. I mean, Luca said this the other day, like on this space yesterday, that it was Luca's competitor. And it doesn't mean like competitor, like, oh, I want to beat them, they got to go to zero, but oh, we need to get back to our roots a little bit and tighten things up and do these little things like sales bots, like more communication, the building in public. Pudgy used to do a behind the scenes video that was very popular. I'd love to see them bring that back. There's absolutely something happening right now beyond just the lift in floor prices. Again, I think that is a effect of this recent activity, and it also, there's been this reminder of what so many of us fell in love with in the first place, and many of us knew it like never went away, but candidly, there's like I mentioned earlier, there was some doubts. There was people, some OGs doubting if the clubhouse is even going to become a thing, if that was going to get just shelved because we hadn't heard an update since Ape Fest. I have some other thoughts, and this is where I want to. We may have not one. We may have two guests this morning. We may have zero guests this morning. We will at least do a flyover. I'll check with Bunch now if he's going to be able to join us. We'll at least do a flyover of This Week in AI, and we may talk some mega ETH, but it's not just the lift and floor prices. I think more exciting than lift and floor prices is the grails that have been sold. I think more exciting than both of those is the activity, this resurgence of community, which has always been there, but when the fans when the flames are fanned, it just drives in hyperdrive and reminds people of how much we do have in common, how much there is, how much, not just fun, but things that can be built together. And these leaders in this very niche industry that is in its infancy stages can accomplish a heck of a lot more working together, pushing each other than just wait for the first 10 minutes. Sorry. my multitask brain hasn't had enough coffee yet as I read the comments. Sorry, not ignoring you all. We'll get to Hizzy's hand here in a second. Appreciate all the love this morning. Appreciate all the GMs. Block Mage, Absolute Zero, Web3 Warhead, Risk Brian, Corona, double GMing, Dobbins, Risk Brian. Yeah, we're gonna do some sort of football show. Just not sure what yet. Whether I do it with another larger brand or just a casual Sunday show myself. TBD. I need to see if Phonics is interested in running it back, and maybe we'll get JWeb back out on the Spaces street. Speaking of Spaces, Nikita just came out and said they're finally going to start incentivizing live streamers. So, yay! Mike, Helpful Soul, Rad Reviews, Thomas, Art, Inyo, appreciate you all. GM to all the GMers, Green Edge, Mesh, Teacher Katie. Now I'm curious about that other space. It was like 4 hours, so I asked someone for a TLDR makes. I don't really have 4 hours, but I will at least, I guess, go listen to the first 10 minutes of it. Zonko adds, prior to Figgy stepping into CEO, I really thought he was a real MFer, and he's done nothing but prove he's a badass. But quick step back, I told my friend about this. I go, yeah, our monkey founder / CEO moved into the chairman of the board, and we got a new killer CEO. It's pure comedy explaining. Yeah, it is pretty funny. It also made me realize that, yeah, James says we aren't done yet. I don't doubt it. And not that I've ever really doubted it, but I did doubt how important the club side of things was going to be at one point. I know it's hard to, especially when you're talking about the company's got to generate revenue. And so there has been doubts creeped in at times, like what really is the plans for I have no doubts now. Like my doubts have been eliminated. And what I also don't doubt is I don't doubt that we're not going to have to wait till every Ape Fest to get an update or to hear something about what's going on the club side of things, above and beyond other side. Not downplaying other side. I'm actually, not to deviate too much, I'm really excited about the resource game, and I saw those deeds are coming over by way of shadows, and pretty excited to see what's next on the other side beyond. Also, by the way, we have coming up that Daniel Arsham mint here on I think now May 1st is the new pre-sale / allow list range. Other quick signs that we're back. You got a lot of charlatans talking about NFTs in the timeline that I don't think half of them own any NFTs. The same people who were dunking on NFTs 6 months ago are now saying all the NFTs are back, and starting to show NFT charts and talking about NFT projections, and because they're trying to drift off or grift off the engagement that's driving, because people are excited. There's momentum. You also have real scammers back. Ben.eth is back buying apes or mutants, and I think he bought a mutant and then immediately launched 2 rug tokens again. Just don't fall for that stuff. It's lol.eth is the handle, the person previously known as Ben.eth. Unfortunately, that is one of the downsides when momentum comes back and floor price comes back, that you see more scammers, grifters, charlatans, sometimes good people that aren't scamming with intent, but they're just hype and no substance. And you probably, if this momentum continues, you're going to see more of that. I heard a take yesterday that someone's like, I think it was Jed from Regenerates and DeStefano's, the Steakhouse, been hosting a lot of in real life meetups. I think he was back saying that he said he hopes we don't rip to. He hopes apes don't rip to 50 ETH or 100 ETH. Like there's unintended consequences of that. It's. He was also saying like better to, and I might be misspeaking, maybe it wasn't him, but I do know one of the things that Jed said was, let's focus on onboarding the crypto natives before we think about onboarding normies or people who aren't here. There's millions of people that use crypto, whether they hold crypto or use DeFi or they're on Hyperliquid or a prediction market that's on chain. and yet they don't have any NFTs yet. Or maybe they're talking about NFTs in the timeline and making you think they have them, but they haven't really picked any NFTs up, or they've never actually been in any communities, or just engagement farming. That his point was, let's focus on onboarding the people that are here. And so the one, before I go to Hizzy, the one thought I want to inspire in everyone, and after I go to Hizzy, maybe I can find those posts I was looking for earlier. But the one thought and question I guess I have, the one conversation, discussion is how, and it's not just OpenSea. You could say the same thing for MetaMask. Someone said something yesterday on the space that made me think about, we could have another moment similar, on par to the COVID stimmy. Some people were saying, oh, well, part of why NFTs popped off in 2021 was a lot of people got a COVID stimmy. I never got a COVID stimmy, but my understanding was a couple $1,000s. Okay, it's not nothing. So if the 2 million, I don't know, 2-3 million users of OpenSea, if half of them bought NFTs because they got a $2,000 stimmy, well, guess what? OpenSea can run it back. They could have an OpenSea stimmy, like a real stimmy. MetaMask could do the same thing. I had friends that got in the space to register a domain, and then they got an ENS stimmy, and they went and they got in, and then they bought a mutant. They got in NFTs. Like, so to Jed's point of how do we onboard 90% of the crypto participants who aren't into NFTs? Well, showing them that there's something of substance here. Yes, digital art on chain by itself makes sense. Digital collectibles makes sense. But the I think is what really attracts people to the space. The ability to have access to gain this network, to whether it's the live events or the online community, all the above. How, if you're OpenSea, if you're MetaMask, how could you TGE? How would you TGE that would get those participants to participate, to get those people to, how could it be a real stimmy for the space, not just a race to the exit to dump their token? So I know people don't like vested token drops. I know they don't like, oh, I'm getting this is a slow drip and here's your allocation, but you're going to claim it once a month for the next 2 years. Not, again, I think Magic Eden did something like that. We've seen it with others. Moonbirds, it's not the best. So I'm not saying that's it. But like, what would you do to inspire collectors? People who maybe were collecting NFTs at one point, but then they got burnt following the race to zero on royalties and the incentivized farming. I don't know. Maybe like, here's your allocation. If you buy an NFT, not bid on one, not buy one and flip, but if you collect an NFT and you've held it for 6 months, we're going to give you another allocation that's going to be equal to your first. I'm not saying that's the answer, but that was a thought. It's like, how I'm trying to think critically. How would, if I had to know someone at the OpenSea team, and I'd like to pass along some feedback, some ideas, and I don't know anyone on the OpenSea Foundation who's actually making the calls, but if you had a hope and a prayer and shot like, hey, this would be a brilliant idea. We might know a way to at least get it to an ear that can pass along to someone else who might be making a decision. So the first I was like, what if there's, instead of like the slow drip, what if it's, now this all comes back to as well as they really, MetaMask, OpenSea, all of them need to really to do this. The only way to do it, in my opinion, is to actually reward those original users, not the people who were farming voyages last month. Those people weren't like, those are going to be the people who are going to rush to zero and dump the token. Pretty sure most of them are just dumping the token. I know they still need to reward them because they said they would, and apparently allocations have already been predetermined. But don't dilute those original collectors. Find it, like, those are you. you got one shot to get those people re-engaged into the space using your platform. And I think if it's just, hey, here's your token, you can go claim it, and they go claim, and there's $200, they're probably just selling their token and going on and with their day, not thinking twice about it. They go buy themselves a nice steak dinner. On the flip side, if here's your token, it's $2,000, and if you buy an NFT on our platform with this $2,000 and you hold it for 6 months, you're going to get another $2,000. I don't know. Maybe that works. Maybe it doesn't. It's probably not it by itself, but this idea of reactivating crypto, whether they're current crypto participants, prior crypto participants, people who actually collected an NFT at one point, a lot of which admittedly got burnt or bought, topish. How can you get those people re-engaged again? And while we're seeing this resurgence of the NFT brands, the leaders really stepping up on that space. Yesterday, Luca talked about wanting to form some sort of consortium, and he's inviting, the crypto founders and leads to Igloo headquarters during consensus, and wants to get some founders together to work on some stuff together. Love to hear that. But how do you tap into those that are on chain but have left NFTs? How do you get them rethinking about NFTs? What excited them the first time? What got people excited about collecting traits? And this is when I say it's like 1 + 1 + 1 = 7. It is. Think about this. Like we're excited about this momentum and like things that have been actually shipped this month. A Grails and a sales bot. And then you're seeing other teams, I don't say scramble because that doesn't sound right, start doing similar things. And competition begets competition. And it's you continually having these teams push each other forward and create this excitement in the space that feels like for those that are here, those supporters feel like they are actually a part of something. Hans, thank you very much for the tip. Greatly appreciated. Hans also says OS should double or so the value if you spend it on the platform. I agree. I also think, I hope to God that farming on NFTs never comes back. If they need to do some sort of loyalty program, keep it with tokens. I think I have a draft tweet. I'm just going to let it fly, but it was something in that regard. Grateful Ape had a post about just the end of farming, and I really hope it is over. I understand loyalty program, I understand rewards program. Keep that on the fungible side, please, because it is a net negative for NFTs. You can't convince me otherwise. It doesn't. I don't think it even drives the intended results of other than vanity metrics that we all know what happens to those as soon as TG happens. So if you're looking for something sustainable, it's not that. And I really do hope. I get loyalty programs. I'm all for on-chain loyalty programs, reward programs. I think they can. It's one of those things I think can actually where is better on-chain than off-chain, but not for NFTs. It to say it's detrimental, it might be an understatement. Like they can flat out break NFTs. Not only are we seeing momentum of some of the leading collections, the apes, the pudgies, the Claynos, Doodles, you're seeing like there was like Subducks might be for sale or is for sale. Frankie Nines is saying he's ready to move on and find someone that can take it the reins, take it to the next level. Who knows if don't go buying Subducks or any of these other collections that might get acquired. Like might get acquired and actually getting acquired are two different things. And so I think be careful with any of that, like any of that speculation. But I do think you'll see some of that. If you see 10 acquisitions, probably 9 of them go to zero. And maybe one of them Maybe one of them actually hits. It's all going to come down to the leader, the people, and what they do. But we've been reminded, I think, why there was so much excitement, and what created a lot of the, I don't even say hype, a lot of the excitement, a lot of the alignment that's back. And then when you hear guys on like the modern market, this kind of taking them by surprise, and they're trying to figure out why did a gold ape set sell for nearly 300 grand? Why did a trippy ape sell for 50 ETH? Why is the floor price up 2x in a month? And they're thinking, well, maybe it's the strategy token works. Like, it tells me that like people who are here, active participants on crypto Twitter, hold NFTs, haven't caught up with this, hadn't seen this yet. Keep in mind, Figgy got announced as CEO 11 days ago. So while we've talked about it a lot on this show, the space is a lot bigger than this. And I think probably saw some people, additional people, get introduced or be made aware of what is happening when during that space yesterday. And then you connect the timing with Bitcoin Vegas, Dominion, Consensus, conference season. It is, really could be seeing a, beach ball underwater type effect, not just price wise. Now, when I'm trying to think how to say this, I think price matters. I think price matters more when something like farming's in effect and floor price just keeps getting blasted. You just keep seeing whales that are just farming dumping into bids and bringing floor price down, and collectors don't want to collect. I think floor price going down because of incentivized farming and things, quite frankly, outside of the team's control, that has more of a negative impact on community and sentiment and any new entrants than does floor price going up has a positive impact on community and new entrants. I don't know if that makes sense. I didn't come out quite the way I need to wordsmith that a little bit. But my point is, this is what we're seeing now, this recent activity. It's not because floor price is up. Now, a lot of people are going to see that like, oh, NFTs are back because the floor price is up. That's an effect of everything else that's came back. A lot of it in the last month-ish. So Figgy made that announcement April 16th. He said he took over the reins a few weeks prior. So let's say maybe it's been like a month and a half. And then like probably on like mid-month this month, like 10 days ago, is when other collections started seeing those early Bored Ape Yacht Club vibes. They started seeing what Figgy and team. I know it's not just Figgy, but and I also want to be clear that this isn't in no way, shape, or sorry. I Jesus and Mike, I'm just seeing you now. I don't know what's going on with X this morning. It's doing one of those. It's having one of those days. I don't want this to sound derogatory at all. It's not an indictment against Garga. He's incredible. I'm forever grateful for the man, and immense amount of respect for him coming back in and taking on that role when he didn't have to. And I don't know as if we're having this resurgence today had he not done that. Things could have gotten pretty ugly. That said, when Bored Ape Yacht Club, those early 2021 vibes, Garga was in a similar seat. While it might have been called himself chairman of the board, he was able to focus on the creative storytelling, the lore, so much of like the in between the Ape Fest or the in real life activation or Mutant. There was so much lore being built, and he was the driver of a lot of that. Like he is a really good creative storyteller, and when you're running a huge organization, it's hard to focus on creative storytelling. It's a different part of your brain. So he's in a seat where he thrives and I think enjoys. And he had, someone else that was doing the other stuff. That'd be Gordon at the time. And now I think we're, for the first time, I don't remember when Gordon got his first health scare and had to step down. But I think, quite frankly, it's the first time since then we have this dynamic. And then I know during the corporate era in Allegre, and there was the leadership team. Like, I don't even want to know what the payroll was. Like, they hired extremely high paid executives from corporate world and just wasn't the right fit. They had a leadership team, the people that were capable of doing the work. They just didn't get it. They're not bad people. They just weren't the right fit. But now, for the first time since that Gordon and Garga dynamic, we now have the Garga and Figgy dynamic, and Figgy's a rock star, man. He is locked in. The guy's extremely accomplished, pre-Web3, in Web3. He's very well connected. He's very well respected. And not that Garga's not, but this is, I think, a scenario where two people focus on and specialize in what they're great at. It can have a tremendous impact, and we're starting to see that. And then the trickle down effect is far beyond just Yuga. It's just like they did in 21. They've kind of started this momentum, and you're seeing a lot of others. Oh, we need to get back to our basics and focus on some of these little things. And this is, I'm paraphrasing here. This isn't not me just speculating or saying this. Like, you heard it from many of the leaders yesterday on that space. Like, they've taken a lot of inspiration on just seeing Figgy move in the last couple of weeks and leveling up their game. And then that'll in turn, Figgy and the Yuga team will level up their game. I can't wait to see what Pudgy does next and innovates. Luca was talking about there's a couple of big things they're working on. They think will really help the space at large, but they need others they think they need others to help. It is a space at large, not just a Pudgy thing. Dort says, even if OpenSea can prove loyalty farming doesn't drive prices down somehow, bringing those incentive backs would permanently wipe out any goodwill they've built with collectors. Yeah, I don't think it can be proved. In fact, I think we can prove otherwise. I think we can prove that loyalty farming does drive prices down. I think we've proven that. Like, I'm not saying that's the only reason we're seeing this resurgence, but it's definitely one of them. And it's not a coincidence. It's what started pulling them down initially. It kept, it was a tremendous headwind for multiple years. And then almost as soon as it ends, we see this resurgence across the board. I want to do that, and then after, on the other side of this break, we'll get Hizzy in here. Then Jesus, Mike, and Loki just joined us as well. Loki, I'm not sure how long you've been out there listening, but I was been raving about your space yesterday. Really enjoyed it. Really well done. Shout out to you, Machiavelli, and Proof Alpha DGen, not just for yesterday's space, but for not wavering. There's a few of us who have been beating this NFT drum relentlessly, and probably a lot of people thought we were idiots, or why are they still talking about NFTs? Why haven't they pivoted to AI or prediction markets? And I am proud of those of you who haven't wavered and kept the conviction. And it's, while NFT season 2 is going to look very different than season 1, there's a lot of the fun that will be that is being brought back. So let's do this. We got a lot of hands. Machiavelli on stage now as well. Let me knock out a quick market update so I don't forget. And this is also give you a glimpse of it. So I've been talking a lot about Yuga and Pudgy. This will help you see that it's not just a couple of collections, but really the space at large. So Hizzy, you're on the other side of this break. This is the Daily Market Update brought to you by Awaken Tax. Even if you got your taxes filed, this is an annual subscription. It'll help you get you ahead of your 2027 filings. That way you're not scrambling. It'll keep you on point throughout the entire year. It's awaken.tax. Use code coffee50 or return coffee50 to save $50 off your subscription. This is the Daily Market Update brought to you by Awaken Tax.
It's market update time. Let's set the play. Powered by Awaken, the smart tax way. From crypto flips to DeFi stacks. They keep it clean. Got your back. Grab your coffee. Let's break it down. Daily update right now.
Starting with majors, it's kind of at least the last day, had a pretty good weekend. Bitcoin did rip up. I think it touched I know 78, maybe got a little higher. I don't think it gave 80 a run, but anyways, right now, as of this morning, 77,637 as Bitcoin conference kicks off this week. maybe stalling there, maybe just hold. There has been 7 straight days of ETF inflows, keeping the bid. We talked yesterday or last week. 80K is kind of this wall or resistance, and will be a key level to push through. But we've got at Bitcoin conference, Saylor and Adkins and CFTC chair, C League, several others. I don't think I just saw another speaker. I don't think they're going to be there. Anyways, I think we actually might get some announcements this week, not just traditional keynotes, but maybe some big news coming out of the Bitcoin conference. Maybe that's hopium. I don't know. But for most of the majors, you can see here, kind of flat across the board, down slightly, like 0.2, 0.62 for ETH, 2,300. XRP down 1% to 141. BNB down almost 1%. Solana down 1%. Tron up 0.5%. Hyperliquid's the big winner on the day, up 3.17%. But for the most part, kind of just holding steady from the fungible token side. And then as we shift over to NFTs on the daily, apes are down 4.3% to 9.6. Pudgy's up 2% to 5.24. Mutants down 2% to 1.66. Punks up 3.5%, almost 31 ETH now. Little Pudgy's 0.46. Hypers down 1.3% to 364. Milady's down 4% to 1.38. Squiggles up almost 10% to 2.85. Doodle's a big pump, up to 6.64 now, up 5% on the day. Moonbirds, it shows down 1%, but they ripped up. They're over 1 ETH again. Last week, I think they're at like 0.8. Azuki also same, down on the day, but big up on the week. Clone X up 3% to 0.32. And just, Kennel Club's up to 0.3. They're down, and that's after being down 10% of the day because they ripped up huge last week. When you see these huge rips, inevitably you get a pullback, you get a correction. You will see some people sell out, but the net is you're still seeing new buyers, and it's not just the celebrities of the world. I pinned up top. It was I'm not in I'm not into the K-pop streets, but Lee Ming Ho, it just picked up an ape. Is global K-pop star, lead for Boys Over Flowers. His nickname's Film Star, and picked up a Grail, Rainbow Grill, 25 ETH, I think it was. And I think he bought another one or two as well. It's not just celebrities coming back. You're seeing a lot of new members. I'll go see if I can find. Who was it? Maybe Feld shared the unique holder count for mutants, and they're averaging over the last few weeks here 3 net new members per day. It's a lot. At that trend, it's 1,000 a year, over 1,000 new members a year. There's not the supply is just not that large. Like right now in the market, there might be a couple hundred for sale. And yes, when the floor rips up, you're going to see people that they see it as their chance to exit. They don't believe it's going to sustain, like the punk who says, sell now because it's a short-lived pump. Price is going to be volatile. It very well could go down. What I'm seeing, boots on the ground, talking with these people, hearing these people talk, they're not buying this. Most aren't. Some are, sure. Most aren't buying just for a short-term flip. Most aren't trying to just grind out a 0.1 ETH flip. They are collecting things they want to collect. They're joining communities and clubs they want to join. And well, that doesn't mean they're going to be a member for life, like that is lifetime membership grants them. It doesn't guarantee that. But I think you'd be surprised at how many people aren't. They're buying because they want something, not because they want a short-term financial gain. Hizzy, would you agree? GM, appreciate your patience.
GM, thank you, Cap. So I listened to that Luca space as well on Sunday. Loki, Mac, everybody, Proof of Alpha, y'all do an amazing job on Sundays, like always. Luca hit on a lot of high points. He focused a lot on the things that he enjoyed about other projects, and it felt good to hear him talk about other things. And he said he really enjoyed the Doodles collab and things. And it made me think about how when Steve's book came out, I made a reel on Instagram about buying Steve's book. And then when the Pudgy Penguins were in Walmart, I went to Walmart and made a reel about buying Pudgy Penguins. And then when the Doodles Cup came out, I took the cup to a Houston car meet and took it all around. And I think Yuga's doing the playbook again now with the in real life events. I'm so excited to go to mine on Saturday in Houston, hang out with all the Houston apes. But it made me think of, well, maybe we should lean into this PvP in the local regions. Imagine, Cap, if you would have had a apes versus everybody paintball event and a bunch of Pudgy Penguins or Sappy Seals or Doodles showed up, or bears or dogs. I mean, I think the war room hates it. I talk about Houston all the time, but it's really, I'm talking about my city, just like everyone's talking about their city. I want everybody here to get together and experience things. There's literal penguins in Galveston. Why aren't there Pudgy Penguins events in Galveston? NASA is space apes. Why aren't we doing things in Houston? I mean, it's not that I just, so yeah, I've enjoyed all of this. Also, for Mac and everybody on the other side, y'all are doing an amazing job. My son logged in for the first time on Saturday for 2.5 hours. He laughed, he giggled, he had so much fun, and he did not know anyone in there. And I knew everybody's voice. I knew everybody's PFP. And I'm trying to get him and his friends, because they could get an ape coin in NFT, get an avatar, get in there and have a lot of fun. And, my son was twerking and breakdancing, and just it has potential. All the different projects is what's going to build Web3. If we meet somebody and they're in the Pokemon cards, we got to point them to Beezy. If we meet somebody and they have a 16, 17-year-old daughter, we know they've seen Pudgy Penguin gifts. There's just so many ways we can all do it locally that we don't have to compete, but we could also lean into the compete. We could do a Top Golf Web3 day in everybody's city. Everybody go to the Top Golf, whether you're a penguin, whether you're an ape, it doesn't matter. We could all do this together, and that's how we're going to onboard everybody, is everybody in our cities seeing all of us having fun together.
Yeah, well said. And I hadn't even thought about apes versus pudgies. I agree. I actually had recently told Ape Whale, who organized the Tampa paintball meetup, that next one we need to do a whole Florida one and do East Coast versus West Coast. I don't know if he's out there this morning. I'm going to share that one as well. I think, some stuff like that, cross community events, cross community paintball would be a blast. Yeah, let's do it. That's a fun way to create some PvP friendly collaboration and have fun. And why not? Right? Like, it's just like, that to me is like, that's kind of like more of that. And then what happens? Well, then you see it carries over to the timeline. And you see a lot of people talking about it on the timeline now from multiple communities, and some trash talking and having fun. Like, at the end of the day, I think the closest thing this fandom that comes with NFTs is sports fandom. And people wear jerseys.
Sorry, Cap. Imagine the local businesses. We all know how much we raid Twitter. We all know how much we raid social media. We go to one of these events in some little, even Top Golf. Imagine their social media, across the board, when all of us are at an event in each little city and we're all tagging Top Golf. They're going to be their social media. They're going to understand the presence. They're going to see us.
Yep, for sure. I love it. So yeah, Ape Whale. If you didn't hear, I will share in the DMs. But yeah, let's do apes versus pudgies next paintball meetup. That would be blast. I'm here for it. And if we do apes versus pudgies, I will drop the $400 or $500 on an actual real paintball gun instead of the rental. After having used that thing, like I'm not messing around. If we're going apes versus pudgies, I'll bring my A game, and my A game will be performance enhanced by professional equipment. I might even start peptides the week of apes versus pudgy paintball. Door adds, yes, we're on pace for the busiest year ever at Welcome Apes. It's not even close. New holders, proud to PFP and post about it on the timeline. Ready to welcome Lee if he posts. Yeah, some are going to say, oh, it's just farming, it's just whales, it's manipulation. I'm telling you, it's not. If you drill down even a little bit, you can see who's buying these things and that they're they're not buying it to grind like, or they just got a really good poker face and they just now started engagement farming that they've never done before. But a lot of people, traders and content creators, and I think of Greeny Trades, who's been in the space a long time, and I think it's Rock to Pudgy forever. Him and Craig hosted Figgy on their space, and like almost immediately after, Greeny goes and buys maybe bought a mutant first, and he bought a zombie ape, and then he PFP'd the zombie ape, and again, I'm not. Please don't take this the wrong way. I'm not making this like apes versus pudgies. It's not it. Minus the fun part, minus the paintball part. I do want to do this. I saw we got Mike and Cheezus and Sheba's up with his hand up. But I do want to go to Loki next, if you don't mind, because Loki was up here, and I wasn't even joking. Like my entire show docket today, I was inspired by the space they held yesterday, which is a really good conversation. I'm not able to tune in every Sunday morning, but I've enjoyed it for as long as I can remember. And it's like they brought the same energy. They've had the same good conversations. It's just what I saw happen yesterday is it went from a few hundred of us to a few thousand of us. And it went from, a pudgy and a couple apes hosting on stage to, I mean, I'm sure there was some viable collections that weren't represented. I'm not trying to be derogatory, but most of the, like, if you were to rattle off like the first 5 NFT PFP brands that you think of as, leading, like they were probably on that space yesterday, either the founder or president, CEO, a team leader. Like it was just a great conversation. So Loki, GM, thanks for hosting yesterday as always. Same to Machiavelli and Proof Alpha DGen. But yeah, before we get around the stage here to the rest of the hands, anything to add? Like I kind of went on a monologue there to open things up and talk about how OpenSea could bring back some active participants if they do TGE right. And this momentum is so much more than a floor price pump, which a lot of people who haven't been engaged, they haven't heard your space, they haven't heard us talking here, they're trying to figure this out. Like, oh, we're seeing people talk about because the floor is up, and I think that could be further from the truth. Would you agree with that? Like there's so much more substance than just numbers being up a little bit.
Yeah, man. Thank you, by the way, for the words. I mean, it's been more than a year of changing culture, consolidation of price, and even consolidation of communities and collectors here. And 2 years ago, it was all about some innovation, but also a lot of PvP and tribalism. And also a lot of brands will start to build in Web 2, and they weren't sure where to build and for who to build. And I remember before we were focusing on Gen Z, we need to build for Gen Z. But at the end of the day, we realize we're all unclear. We are a mature audience, and we are also the one with the money for buying these assets that not everybody can afford. So I think it just makes sense to where we are right now. So a slow, more mature market. And yes, I don't feel anything weird. I don't know yesterday at what time you tune in, but before Luca jumped in, we were discussing OpenSea, if it was the right moment to launch the token. What do you think?
I think I caught part of that, and like you would correct me here or fill in the gaps, but basically like the debate on, do you launch when momentum has begun and come back to further fuel said momentum, or do you wait until it's sustained momentum and things really popping off and then you drop your token? Is that kind of the gist of it?
Yeah, I mean, we know that they were ready. So, but then suddenly we hit a bear market, I guess, and now nobody knows when. And I mean, if we are really talking about a real bear market, so it means we gotta wait for years. And especially after the farming is over, I think it's been like 30 days of pretty flat volume. for NFTs, and I guess also for token swapping on OpenSea. Anyway, they don't have fees on, so it doesn't really matter. But now we are, I think, all-time high in more than a year for OpenSea for NFTs on Ethereum. So actually, I mean, what are you waiting for? Because if you let's say the token was ready, the strategy, the deploy is ready, but look at OpenSea. It's everybody knows because it's the brand of NFTs, and there's no better moment right now to value also your company because you're printing fees and people want to buy NFTs, and you're the only marketplace. So I guess for me, it's really, really the right time as long as I guess their mobile app is almost ready.
I was going to say that's, I think the one thing beyond market conditions, I do think they mentioned they wanted the app to be ready. And there's a few other things they wanted to have buttoned up. And so I don't know if that's ready, but let's just assume for this conversation, assume they have everything from a tech standpoint. The mobile app that is a week away. If you're OpenSea, do you drop it do you drop the token in May? Now, I will say also, I don't know anything, but I'm thinking we probably get a multi-week, if not month or multi-month campaign and push. I think someone said this yesterday. Like, do you go not just on crypto Twitter with a campaign, but you go in like even the email campaigns and traditional media outlets to try to, because I do think like the best thing they could do isn't give all of us here on this space a big stimmy, but how do they re-engage the people who were trading NFTs in 2021 and left and haven't come back? People who were collecting but then got burnt out by zero royalties and incentivized farming and like, forget this. Like, I think to do that, it's not gonna like F it, token drop Saturday. I think it's gonna be, we'll probably see a multi-month or at least a multi-week campaign would be my guess. So like, would you kick that off? Like, so I'm taking like reading between the lines, Loki, if you're OpenSea, you would start the plan to drop the token as early as May. Is that right? Is that what you think?
I mean, I just think they were ready to launch anyway. And usually in crypto, everything moves fast. You cannot really do a campaign like a month long.
Yeah.
Even if it's 2 weeks, it's already too much. And then I don't know who's going to get this token. I mean, if we're talking about like historic wallets, but also why would you want to wake them up just to dump it? So I wouldn't even tell them anything. Let them hold the token for long.
Well, yes and no. I think there's an opportunity to capture if done right. And I don't know how right is. I don't know I'm not claiming to know the answers, but I do think there's a way to re-engage those early, because I mean, there's quite literally millions of users, millions of wallets they have. I don't know if it's 2 or 3 million active or not active, but people who've used OpenSea. And I do think there's an opportunity to bring some of them back into the fold because, like, yes, the bubble popped, but the foundation didn't go anywhere. What created that bubble to begin with still exists. And I think why a lot of people bought in NFTs and got in communities and got excited, like, while that might have went away or wasn't as fun and exciting for a while, I think a lot of it's back. And how do you get those initial, like, and again, I know vesting's not the answer, but on the simplest, non-thought out, just throwing it at the wall right now, the idea of, hey, you traded $100,000 of NFTs in 2021. Here's a $2,500 allocation in the C token. You can get it, do whatever you want with it. But if you take that $2,500,
they're gonna dump it right away.
Well, what if they said if you buy NFTs on our platform and then you hold those NFTs for 6 months, we're gonna give you another $2,500. I know it's too simple, but
I think their goal is just to become everything trading. So actually, they're not really catering to the old buyers of NFT. I mean, the current buyer of NFT are like a few thousand wallets, and they're doing great. I mean, it's been really, it's doing all-time high without any incentivization, more than a year, all-time high. So I think they got us already. So they wanna cater to a new audience, right? They want people using their mobile app and trading stuff. So I think it's a different strategy. They go to fish for the old wallets. That frankly, I think they're just gonna dump and not buy NFTs anymore.
Yeah, I know you're right. They are chasing the other traders. Diego adds perps are live on mobile. OpenSea mobile app's amazing. Maybe I'm naive. I think there's an opportunity. And yeah, you're right. Volume is, it's tremendous. Like, I don't know if people looked. This is the last 30 days. This is insane. Last 30 days of volume.
This is the top volume that's been in more than a year. So my point is sorry to interrupt. But my point is really simple. Like, you were ready to deploy last month, but you predicted that now we're entering a bear market, so you stop it. But actually, the sentiment has never been better. So just do it.
I don't have an argument against that. I've got it showed up on screen. If you're listening to podcasts later or on voices only or audio only, just in the last month, apes have done 9 million in volume. That's up 800%. Transactions up 450%. Buyers up 367%. CryptoPunks also 8.2 million in volume, up 289%. I didn't know Guild Guardians was still a thing, but they've done 4.6 million in volume. Pudgy's up 160%. Mutants up 589%. Panini America up 60%. Even Top Shot is up 8%, 9% in the last month. Like, pretty incredible volume lift in just the last month. And then I saw another take in the only hand I'm seeing is Shiba King right now. So we'll go to Shiba next and we'll get around the horn. If I'm missing if X is doing X things and I'm not seeing hands, give me a wave or something. We will get to everyone, but I'll try to identify some sort of order here. I'll just say this. Another take that might have some merit is I saw someone who was big in the Pokemon space, big in the cardboard collectible space, and was talking about how, hey, Top might be in. They had sold some of their, I don't know, some Pokemon and moved it into NFTs. I remember what NFTs they bought, but they bought, NFT PFP. And the take was like, it was actually, I think Phonics that brought this up in the war room, talking about timing could be pretty good for a rotation from physical collectibles into digital collectibles on chain by way of things like BZ and Courtyard, etc., and then roll right into other digital collectibles on chain, other NFTs on chain. That's another thing we'll come back to here in a bit too. I think I might have come around on NFTs. For a while I said we got to stop using the word because it's got such a negative connotation. I don't know where I net out on that right now. I think for a while I was saying, yeah, we need to just call them digital assets or digital art or digital collectibles. I don't know. I don't. Maybe there is. I'm not so sure that NFTs as the industry, as the acronym, I'm not so sure it's dead. I could be persuaded maybe either way. But that's another conversation, not to derail us. Shiba King GM, what brought you up this morning?
Hello, GM. I came to hang out with my friends and at the same time take part of this conversation. I guess multiple opinions on this. I despise OpenSea publicly at this point. I mean, I think they're waiting probably for a healthier market to do something with the token, but at this point, I feel like whatever they do, it's going to be extremely subpar to what it probably should have been. And I think you guys were on the money about like old wallets that have NFTs in them that'll probably get a decent allocation, but will either dump immediately or have no idea it happened. Especially depends on if they actually market it. But there have been a lot of times that I've been in this space, especially with OpenSea around, where they make some surprise announcements that we weren't expecting and stuff like that, even though I felt like this is the last round of farming. I was like, there's not the last round. There's going to be way more rounds, especially if the market continues on the path. I mean, at least they're smart and they just don't push stuff in dead markets. And when it comes to Bored Apes and projects that, a new founder comes in or, positions move around, this tends to happen. I think it's happened every which way. I think the only time it's been successful long-term has been Pudgy's, right, when Luca Nets took it over. We're in a different position now in a different market. Do I think Bored Apes could sustain the climb and keep going? Absolutely. But will they? I don't think so. I just think the whole NFT market is going to need a little bit more time here for the rest of the market to do well. So it was a good space. It was really nice to see everybody yesterday in Loki space, like just PFPs, different leaders all together talking. That's something you would never see ever last bull run. There was no way you can get those people on a stage together to even hang out for more than 10 minutes. So it's nice to see everybody coming together and actually putting in the time to hang out for a few hours. So That's dope. But when it comes to token drops, no one put any of your time aside thinking it's going to happen during the bull run. And I think everybody should go into the next NFT bull run a lot more smarter and optimistic on how it's going to go. And I think a lot of us learned that the first time around. But I don't like NFTs either. Let's say digital assets. I'm comfortable with that. Explaining it to people IRL, and immediately they're going, "Are you collecting those apes?" I'm like, "Oh boy." I'm like, "Yes, the NFTs." So yeah.
I also found Warner was on the stage yesterday on that NFT space, and I did not know. I mean, I know Warner, and he rocked a Doodle for a while. He rocks a Grail Good Vibes Club. He recently picked up some apes. I did not know he was onboarded. Kid you not, this was directly from him. He was onboarded into NFTs by, no one's going to guess this. If you didn't hear him talk, actually, I'm going to, let me know in the chat. If you did not hear Warner yesterday, tell how he was on board. What do you think? How do you think? And let me give you a hint. It was within the last 2 years. It wasn't, I don't think it was last holiday season. It was the holiday season prior to that. How do you think, what do you think onboarded Warner into NFTs? Drop your comments in the chat. We'll go around the horn here and then we'll come back to you. Proof Alpha DJ's laughing. I had no idea. Kind of mind kind of blown. Were you surprised by that? Did you know before yesterday, Proof Alpha DJ?
I had no idea, man. No idea whatsoever. But you just never know somebody's story on how they arrived to where they are in the NFT space. And that's the joy of these conversations and, in these spaces is you get that. And, that's the beauty of it, Ken.
Yeah. Since we were talking stats, we're going to go to Mike Campbell next. Since we're talking stats, there was a $600,000 loan that just went through on the last selfie. It's an X copy. Incredible things. Lender stands to make $98,000 in interest over the next year. Borrower gets instant liquidity on an iconic piece. DeFi or NFTFi is alive and well. Mike, GM, what brought you up this morning, sir? That orange background mutant's looking fire on you, I must say.
Well, I had to put it back on, and that's part of why it came up. I've been thinking about this since Thursday, Friday, and I'm always driving to work when we get to this point in the conversation, so I can't really come up. But Bored Apes are getting back to who they are as an identity, in my opinion, when Figgy came on board. And of course, it was leaning in that direction with Welcome Apes and everything else. Back in 22 is when I discovered NFTs. And of course, the face has always been the Bored Apes, certainly for us normies. And so that's what I was always kind of looking at and following along and seeing what was going on. And it was all about the community and about IRL and all that kind of stuff. And that was the identity. And I got in before Hong Kong. I couldn't go to Hong Kong, but I got in before then. But I was in a parking lot in LA for my first meetup. And I met the man who was running, I don't know if he was actually part of the team running Bored Apes or Yuga at the time, but that was when heavy metal was big and they were going into gaming. And that was my impression, right? And I can't even remember his name, but he was there and I met him and talked to him. And for a while, Bored Apes got away from the identity that they are. And the reason I got in, right, was because of that identity. And I think most NFT projects don't know who they are at the core. Or if they do, they get away from it. And they move into something that might be the new shiny thing and they abandoned who they were, who got people involved in the first place. Like with VFriends, I know exactly who they are. It's about collecting and flipping, right? Gary himself is building, the next Marvel or the next Pokemon or whatever. But for the collectors or for the people in the community, it's about collecting and flipping. It's about social selling. That's what VFriends is. And, typical Tigers down there with Don, right? That's a charity project. I know what that is. I know why I'm there. I know why I spend money. It's to help save tigers. It's very clear. Now, Bored Apes is getting back to the fact that it's a community. It's IRL. It's that thing that drew most of us in the first place, I think. The space grows. It ebbs and flows, right? So there were people that came in that wanted to flip, and it was all about money, and they were missing the airdrops for 6 figures or whatever. So that will happen. But I think you have to stick with your core identity in order to bring people in. You mentioned Warden yesterday. I had a similar experience with penguins. I sold a mutant and I bought a little pudgy and a couple of other things. And I got in and I just saw the Discord and how people were talking to each other. And I left. I still have my little pudgy because I love it. I think it's awesome and it represents me pretty well. But I haven't participated in the project in a while. And so because of that, I'm not exactly sure what Pudgy Penguins is about, what their core identity is, because I haven't been there. And the reason I'm not there, to kind of move into a different little topic here, is because of the way people are treated. Now, it might be all fun and games to the people that are doing it, but when you're trying to onboard people, you have to be aware of how you're coming across. It's like I mentioned to you that one day about the ape chain space with the hosts and stuff, the way they were talking to each other and treating people that would come up on stage, ask questions or whatever. They were having fun, but it came across as something that I don't want to participate in, which is why I quit participating in ape chain spaces, last year, because it all got that way. Everything was the same. And if you're a new person coming in, you want to ask questions and you kind of get dumped on just for fun because you asked a question, or they see that or hear that that's happening to other people because they're friends, so they do it to each other, it comes across as something that quote unquote normies don't want to participate in. They're not getting their questions answered. So, I had my avatars in Other Side last year. It was great. And then on Sunday morning, I went back to log in again, and for some reason my avatar is not coming up, right? So I'm like, okay, I need to go find out what's going on. I spent an hour searching on the Discords with search questions about how to redelegate my avatar. I posted on the timeline, I'm having trouble doing this. Nobody ever got back to me. I couldn't find any answers on how to actually do this. So it wasn't easy. And that's the other thing. You got to make it easy for people to come on. That's one thing Gary's done very well with VFriends. You can buy an NFT with a credit card, with Apple Pay, with whatever, or you could until Rarible got bought by somebody else. So now they've kind of changed things a little bit. But, they made it really easy. 3 clicks and you bought your first NFT. And that's how he was onboarding people. I watched it happen week after week after week. So these things, I think, are what keep people from joining the space. And, with Delta, I was taught customer service, continued my customer service training with Delta, with Disney, stuff like that. And people use feedback. Those companies use feedback to help them dial in what they need. The best feedback is the very negative ones and the very positive ones. But if anybody's in the middle, that doesn't help them at all. And I think what happens when you're not quite sure who somebody is, who a project is, you end up in the middle. You're like, well, I thought it was this. I go listen to spaces. Now all of a sudden I think it's that. So I'm not really sure what to do. And then you never ask a question, or you never complain. You never do anything. You just kind of go away and look for something else.
Yeah, well said. And I guess to that point, good segue to, I did pin up top the Welcome Apes Monday shout out. Welcome Apes got shouted out on that space yesterday. I think it was even Luca that shouted out Welcome Apes, maybe, if I'm not mistaken, and all that they did. And by the way, if you missed it, so many new holders welcomed over the past week, including Hizzy, Doomers, Greeny Trades, and Illan, excuse me. Just to name a few. Once again, welcome. Feel free to DM, and don't forget to check out welcomeapes.com. Not only welcomeapes.com, not only the space to welcome people and kind of guide them around. They're sending out care packages now, and that hand holding. I think I'm a little biased, but I think it's one of the best grassroots community initiatives in all of, at least in all of the crypto, Twitter, NFT, PFP arenas, and giving Dort and Lal Vasal and Marav all the credit in the world. They deserve more credit than they get for it, but might be, I'm not taking credit for it. Might be the best thing that's ever come out of this show. 1,147 shows, and that's one. We were a conduit to that because it was Vicky who we were just talking about the idea and the need, just like what you just described, the need for something like that. And long story short, we ran with it, and I think that was like on a Monday, and that Wednesday we hosted the first Welcome Ape space, and then it just became out so much more. Like I mean, I hosted a few spaces for a while early on. I haven't supported. They just take it and ran with it, and absolutely love to see it. And I think Welcome Ape not only is it great for Bored Ape Yacht Club, and you have like other communities have done similar initiatives now. It is, to me, it's part of what is the power of these crypto native brands. Is you have an idea, something was ideated on a Monday morning or Tuesday morning X space, and by Wednesday it was enacted. And fast forward a year or two, I don't know when, we'd have to go back, Dort, or if you know when the first one was, I'd be curious. And they've got it's like a whole blown business now. I mean, they've got a really professional website. They've got a system down where they are doing exactly what you just described, and that importance of welcoming people and kind of showing them around and helping them understand, because there's a lot, right? And could you put together a brand book or a lore guide? Yeah, you can, but people don't read. And
Apes don't read.
Yeah, certainly not apes, people in general, but certainly not apes. And I think that's just a great example of, now has Yuga or ApeCo, have they supported them from time to time? Have they provided a little bit of funding? I believe so. They've supported like some welcome parties, and I hope they got some funding for the website. And but it's not just Yuga. It's not just the community members who are coordinating and hosting the spaces and welcoming people and giving the shout outs. It's other community members are adding to that welcome package, from Ape Whale to NFT Hoarder and so many more. I should have started naming names because I should have had a full list. I just don't have that handy. But it's like you have a community initiative that started with an idea on this very space because Vicky said, hey, this is needed. And that week we said, let's do Welcome Apes, and created the account, created a group account. And if it was on me, if it was just me, it's probably non-existent anymore, because I'm much more, I've been an operator my entire life. I enjoy the idea guy hat and not in the weeds and doing, like, I'm bad at DM. So like welcoming new people, not something as a strength of mine, but it didn't have to be about me. I didn't have to be the one that had to host every space. I didn't have to go build the website or the welcome package, because you have a community of thousands of people who are very passionate and want to step up and push the thing forward. Like, that is a great example of the power. And like, that doesn't happen in a Web 2 for a Web 2 brand. Now some Web 2 brands might have a membership director or a welcoming coordinator, someone they got on payroll for, I don't know, 50 to 200 grand a year, and it's their job. I'd argue that your community members who are passionate and invested are, in most cases, I know people are a variable, but in most cases, on the average, I think you're going to get a better job done by the decentralized community, the passionate community members, because they're doing it because they really care, not because they're being paid to do so. Has Dort and Lal Vasal and Marav and that whole entire Welcome Apes crew, have they personally benefited from Welcome Apes? I don't know, maybe. I don't think they're getting paid. They do it for the love of the game, and it's awesome. And that's part of what makes this space so special. Again, if the flames weren't fanned at all, maybe they throw in the towel by now. But it's the feeling of a part of something much bigger than just themselves. And we're going to go to Proof Alpha DJ next. But before I do, Diego nailed it. McDonald's. The McDonald's Cup campaign is what onboarded Warner the Whale.
That's exactly right.
My mind was blown. Like, people, I might have been one of those that said, what does this do for holders or the brand, or how do you pull people through? Not even letting you for holders, like pump my bags, but how does this bring new people into the ecosystem? Where's the connection point? And while that did onboard Warner, he saw the Doodles brand, he loved the IP, and not only come in and buy a Doodle, he's He's supported a lot. I mean, I'm guessing I don't know the exact number, but hundreds of thousands of dollars he's invested in NFT communities because of a McDonald's cup. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, he told that story, Cap, like a few weeks ago on the show. And when he told the story, I was like, damn, because he talked about like people coming to his office and stuff. The first thing that they notice is like the doodle vinyls on his shelf and stuff. But like it was really like I remember when the cup dropped and everybody talked so much smack, like, what would this do? And then like time passes and you see Warner show up, and that's what it did.
I mean, I think it's awesome. I think it's an amazing story. Also, Maria, thanks for sharing. She was in Web3, got onboarded to Doodles from the camp activation. She said, in addition to Thread Guy podcast with Julian, hearing the Doodles story via Julian helped me understand the brand more, but camp really helped me see things differently about Doodles. The overarching point is in real life's the alpha, and this stuff matters. Now, I do think while it's awesome that onboarded Warner, I do think the takeaway is I think a lot of the NFT native brands, the crypto native brands that go into Web2, that go into toys or reach customers. There's some that are doing a great job of reaching customers outside of crypto. I think two things. One, work towards identify like an actual funnel, not just hope that you find a Warner that just falls in love with your IP and goes down the rabbit hole. How can you dig a hole so big that it's impossible not for them to at least fall in it with 1 foot and get a little curious? I think there's a big opportunity for that. I'm hopeful that the clubhouse is one of those rabbit holes. I'm hopeful that the clubhouse in Miami, not just for Bored Apes, but if in my head, envisioning on how I think they're going to do it, and it is going to be open to the public, and holders will get access to VIP rooms or special perks, incentives. I'm hopeful that it becomes kind of a tech hub in Miami, a co-working space, a place to hang out, and then what's next? I'm in Miami. I meet with one of my friends down there that has no NFTs, and we have lunch at the clubhouse. Then what? What make it easy for us holders? Yeah, I think of the Tampa paintball meetup, and one of April's friends came and he was they're talking about the professional gun. That was his friends who lent it to me for a couple games, and he was taking pictures. A lot of the photos you saw from that paintball meetup was basically a professional photographer. And I don't think we once talked about NFTs. Like he knew. I even heard April say like, "Oh, it's a global club," and yet we get together annually, and then throughout the year, there's a lot of local meetups like this. But no one was like shilling him NFTs. I didn't hear one person, and maybe I missed it, but I didn't hear one person, "Oh, you need to go buy a mutant. You need to go buy an ape." We're just normal people having fun, and that's infectious. Maybe my read's completely wrong, but I would probably be surprised if his name is Alan, if he doesn't, get more active in this space, or at least get more curious, want to find more out about this. It was a fun time. I think he had a good day. He had a good time, and we weren't like shilling him NFTs. It was just that's like the glue. Maybe that's part of the what provides us this access. But that's just our membership pass. It's not like people that join a social club or a country club. It's not like they're flashing their membership card. "Oh, you got to go buy one of these." Like that'd be weird, wouldn't it? Like, and I'm not saying we're doing this today, but like people probably did in 21, 22. Like it was all about NFTs. Well, NFTs are the technology. That's the ticket. That's the pass. That's not why people are going to come here. Appreciate the feedback. Psycho Kitty says a lot of great takes this morning. Let's get back to Proof Alpha Degen, and then I want to get the rest. I'm going to get Jesus, Chaz Golden here. X is being finicky this morning. I'm not sure if I missed an update or what, but if you want to get in here after Proof Alpha Degen, wave your hand. If not, I'll start picking on you. We'll go around the horn. But Proof Alpha Degen, go ahead and get back in here.
Hey, thanks for allowing me to come up. Real quick, I just got a couple of one-liners, but definitely that weird thing, it actually at a certain weirdness, a certain level of weird, it turns cringe. So yeah, let's not get back to the cringe era. But I think we're at a healthy place right now where the corrections have been made and what have you. IRL is definitely the alpha. And those collabs with Web2 companies are so huge and so humongous that we don't have an idea of the reach. And that's when you start talking about marketing. Your reach is what matters. And so when you make that collab and you make that, that connection with a company that's been there, that's a stable coin in whatever market they're in, your reach just expands exponentially. And so for that matter, regardless if it moves your floor price or if it just moves your bows, that right there is huge and humongous. Now, on to the next point. And getting back to what the previous speaker was talking about when he said about, one of the guys mentioned about getting back to what Basie used to be and that feeling, or BAYC or bake or back, whatever that looks like on the poll. But getting back to that feeling of that nostalgic feeling of what the club used to be and that feeling you used to get, that's what the return to monkey thing is. That when you see the founders put that lowercase r and return MONKE, Machiavelli's going to come up in a minute and say return to monk. But that return to monkey theme, that's what that is, getting back to that feeling of nostalgia of what the club used to be. Lastly, I'll say this and I'll land the plane like Cap says. The day we get Loki to set foot in the clubhouse, I'm going to kiss the ring.
Well, let me ask you this.
Plane.
Follow-up question is does it have to be with a mutant or an ape, or is it going to be Pudgy's Go Live in Other Side? What's your take on that?
Well, I did have I was kind of future forward when I said the day we get Loki in the other side. Now we got Loki in the other side, but I'm talking about the day he steps physical foot. He flies over here. You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb. Hopefully I'm not bankrupt by this time, but whenever he gets ready to come, I'm going to buy his fucking ticket. You heard it right here on the live recorded space. I'm going to buy his ticket. He can come over here and I delegate my ape. He can go walk in the clubhouse. On that day, I'm kissing the ring. I dropped the mic right there.
Man, I appreciate so much for this.
I'll delegate you an ape right now.
I knew it. Machiavelli tried to leave. Machiavelli got off stage, and then he heard Alpha Degen trying to onboard Loki in the Other Side. I knew, and then Machiavelli comes screaming back up. I knew that was coming before it came out of his mouth.
I was planning to get one, but mistakes were made in what I control, and I bought too many fucking penguins, So, I'm waiting for a favorable ratio to enter the club, but no dub, guys, no dub.
Love it. Speaking of Alan, the paintballer and photographer, Ape Will said, saw him yesterday. He said everyone was cool, wanted to get a wallet set up. Like, that's how we do it. It's not going to be onboarding the masses. NFT season 2 is onboarding one by one. I truly believe that. I think it's maybe I'm just an extreme weirdo. I'm not normal, but I'm not. I like sports. I've led some high-performing sales teams. I've led some franchise brands. I've got great friends. I think I'm a pretty fairly normal early-aged guy. I'm not going to use middle-aged. I'm early-aged. And I enjoy hanging out with other people. I think there's a lot of incredible people in this space. I've made more friends here than any period of my life except for college. Maybe even more than college, quite frankly. Gary V, speaking of V friends, Gary was on TVPN Friday maybe, and I haven't watched all episodes. I've only caught some clips so far. It's on my to-do list. I'm going to see. I think you can download that. If I can download it, I'm going to watch it on my flight tomorrow. I'm flying. I shop at TJ Maxx and I fly Frontier, so I'm not sure if I have in-flight Wi-Fi. Shout out to Bob real quick too. Bob, speaking of that franchise, Bob, I go way back with Bob, a great business operator, great person. He's been in the crypto space for a while. Just picked another one that just picked up a mutant recently. I think he maybe had a mutant previously. He definitely had some NFTs, but been in the space, and just recently with this momentum picked up a mutant, got another side. So get back to that. One feeds the other. Also, Bob's kids are running a business. What's that business? It's a VFriends coin machine. He's got his kids they got it set up. They've got the coin machines installed and the toy machines, and they reload it. And so onboarding his kids into business as entrepreneurs by way of a business that came from something like VFriends. Where I was going at was Gary said on the TBN, one of the clips I saw had anything to do with NFTs, but about in real life, was about analog. He said he wants to open a restaurant that you can turn in your phones when you go in. Like the world is heading as AI, like fast forward a few years, and most of us will doubt any video we see on the internet is real. Our initial assumption will be that it's AI generated. And as the world becomes more artificial, there's going to be an increasing demand and popularity of analog, of in real life events, activations, human to human interaction, the third home, hanging out with your friends. We shared on here, actually speaking consensus next week, it was consensus in Austin that big group of us went to the Comedy Mothership, which is Joe Rogan's comedy venue theater in Austin. And there you have to lock your phones up in a bag to go into the theater room. Like you go in, there's basically a bar before you go into the place. You have your phones there, but then when you go back to actually go to see the sets, they lock your phone in a bag and you can't access it until you leave. If you want to access your phone, you got to go out, and it's like I'm trying to think how to describe it. It's like almost like one of the like if you're at TJ Maxx and it's like some designer clothes and they put like the security guard on it, like the thing that they got to unclip at the checkout. It's like one of those, like your phone's literally locked in a bag. You can't access it unless you go out of the place. The most fun I've had with a group of people, probably since college, pre-smartphones. Like we had cell phones back then. I'm not that old, Zane. And they weren't bag phones either. Like they were actual cool flip phones, like the Motorola Razr. But we weren't on them all the time. So the best you could do was take a grainy picture that you could barely tell what it was. True story. When I first started selling cell phones, we had, on a Black Friday, day after Thanksgiving one year, probably sold like 150 phones. I say sold, like half the country had a cell phone at that time. So we were really just like writing down serial numbers as people were coming in and I want this, I want that. There was no selling involved. But what we were selling, because I was competing against, I was working at a Best Buy, so I was selling Sprint at the time, and there was an AT&T rep next to me, and there was maybe a Singular rep next to me, and so we were competing against each other basically. And our differentiating factor is Sanyo launched a flip phone that had an external caller ID and a camera. That was the revolutionary invention that year that people were flipping out about, because you had a camera on your phone. And get this, you could take a picture of someone and save it as they're in their contact list, and when they called, their picture would pop up on the outside caller ID. Now you couldn't really tell who it was because again, it was VGA quality. But
Holy moly!
Yeah, that's I'm really dating myself here. I feel better that Diego actually had a Motorola Razr one. I agree. Bring it back. Bring back I know they did this recently and it just wasn't the same. But he said a guy stole it with a Glock to his chest in Caracas. You're not helping my desire to open a dog farm in Caracas anytime soon with statements like that. But I know that was a long time ago. That was a Razr one here. We're things are cleaned up since. Let's do this. I see Chaz Gold's hand, and then we will get everyone else in here before we wrap up today. Chaz Gold, GM, what brought you up this morning?
At first I came up because I wanted to mention that, like a lot of my friends and I, we've been calling, instead of calling it NFTs, we've been calling it blockchain art. And that way, if people ask like what the heck is like blockchain, and I can explain to them exactly what it is and the way that it works and how it's a ledger and like tokens work and stuff like that, and how the art lives like there on the chain. But then also you were just talking about like onboarding normies. I went to Node again this last weekend for the Beeple show and got to hang out there on Saturday and Sunday. And I actually got to hang out with people on Sunday, which is awesome because that show's actually going to be going. If anybody's down in Palo Alto or around the Bay Area, dude, go over to Node if you haven't been there yet and check it out. They're open on the weekends.
Real quick, what is it?
Saturday and Sunday. So
every Saturday, Sunday it's open. Is it like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. or what's the?
I think it's I think it's 12 noon to 8 p.m.
Okay, every weekend though.
If I remember right.
Not just events. Every weekend they got something going on.
Yeah.
Awesome.
They have an ongoing show, the People stuff, going on this next till June 28th. And there's a community wall that people actually took over that massive that 80-foot, 12-foot tall wall. That entire wall is 150 individual one-on-one artists that are like on a 8-minute slideshow of 150 pieces of art that are all one-on-ones by various artists that he curated himself. One of my pieces up there, by the way, just for the record.
That's awesome, man. Congrats.
Pretty proud of.
You should be.
But I also got to talk to him. And You know, and I met Phil and Mickey now a couple times, and I was down there for the CryptoPunks thing too in January. And dude, this is the way we onboard normies. Like, we need more nodes. You know what I mean? We need more storefronts and more galleries that are showing digital art with a crossover of physical art to bring the normies in, dude. Because like it really is like, you should have seen it on especially on Sunday, like during the day, once all the massive crowds were gone and the opening was done, and on Sunday, and people had his dogs out on the sidewalk, and just literally crowds of people. You know what I mean? It was insane. It was so much fun, and it was so nice to just have a time to just kind of chill and talk to other artists and talk to people. I had a 45-minute conversation with him about my practice with daily art and how what's your advice, and he gave me a bunch of advice. You know, it's but it's stuff like that, and being able to interact with the artists and being able to talk to people. That's where we get that's why I've been trying to go to every IRL event that I can possibly get to, that I can afford to get to when I can, just because it's so much better than trying to battle with an algorithm and trying to get my attention from people. You know what I mean? It's just, there's something about being there in person and having those conversations, not being able to not being nervous or scared to go up to people and be like, hey, what's your name? I've seen you, you're based online or are you on X? Just meeting people in person is the best thing ever. And if they're not there, then you have to open that conversation, that door to be like, this is why I'm here. Why are you here? And having a conversation with people about why they're there at that gallery or that show. You know, it's especially small stuff like that. It's better than, I love NFT NYC, don't get me wrong, but it's a hot mess because it's spread out. It's too big.
Yeah,
you know
I don't love
it's
NFT.
a small intimate thing. I'll be at Martha in October because that's the one that I'll always go from now on. Every year I will be in Martha, regardless if I don't do anything else the rest of the year. I'll be in Martha for the art box thing because that's so intimate and so small, and it's literally it's a trek to get there. You know what I mean? You have to fly down, drive 3 hours into the desert. it's a trip. You know what I mean? It's just a commitment. But yeah, these smaller events, even Dataland's coming open on the 20th of June down in LA. So there's gonna be a big opening for that.
What was it? Datalands?
Yeah, which is a Farik Anadol.
Okay.
Art
Yeah.
Yeah, he's opening it on the 20th of June.
Very cool. Yeah. No, appreciate you sharing. I agree. I think this is, again, back to my point is NFT season 2, we're not onboarding the masses. It's even if there is a big activation like a Doodles on every McDonald's cup, the masses may see the brand, but the onboarding is still going to be 1v1. It's going to be like Alan at paintball. It's going to be you go to the Node, you're in LA, you go to the Node Foundation on the weekend and you bring one of your friends who's into art, but they've never been exposed to blockchain art or digital art or NFTs, whatever you want to call it. I don't think it really matters. I also think we're putting too much, show them the fun, the cool stuff, the great people, and what it's called doesn't matter. I don't think. I know some people are anti-NFT, and I get that take. I was thinking we needed to rebrand as well, but I'm not so sure it really matters at the end of the day. I did just share this up top, and then we're going to go to Illa next. If you, it's just we're talking I think, on May 1st, 2021, the bathroom went live. And if you had a Bored Ape, you could go in the bathroom and you could put 1 pixel every 24 hours? Someone's going to have to let me know. And also, is the bathroom still live? Can you still, I don't know this. I haven't looked forever. So one of the first pieces of utility, gated access to a bathroom where you could paint on the bathroom walls. Obviously, you could all probably take a guess at some of the first images that were painted on said bathroom wall. But another early utility, and one of the other early activations was a YouTube playlist, a lo-fi channel. Seems simple. Those little things, it doesn't need to be things that are millions of dollars. It doesn't have to be just continually shipping new things, from merch to fun mini games to play to freaking lo-fi playlist. And I did
consistency.
Yeah, constant.
All people want is consistency.
Yeah,
that's why I started doing dailies, because I'm I just want to do something. I want to show the world I want to be consistent for myself and for any other people.
Absolutely agree.
That's
I mean,
done.
tugging on my heartstrings, someone who's hosted a daily show for now 1,147 consecutive weekdays, I'm not better than any other host on this app. I've shown up every day for 5 years. That's it. Just consistent. And I would put my consistency and work ethic up against anyone. I know there's better speakers than me. I can't pronounce half the English words, and English is my first language. But I think my work ethic and consistency rivals anyone. But yeah, just constantly shipping little things, constantly being aligned with your community. By the way, I did pin this up top. If you haven't checked out that Lo-Fi playlist, it is on YouTube. And for those of you that prefer Spotify, shout out to Lord Truffington, who ported the full playlist over to Spotify. It's like some 90 songs, and it's a good one if you're looking for some background music today to stay focused or do something while you are working. Might I suggest checking out, for those of you that just joined, some good tunes over there. I think Ilan was next, and then we'll go Machiavelli and then back to Hizzy. Ilan, congrats again on the fire pickup. Did I see you also added a mutant after picking up the ape? Is that right?
Yeah, dude. I GM. I actually went on a little bit of a Yuga shopping spree. So yeah, I picked up a few things in Eco just to ensure all my bases are covered there for Yuga and Yuga assets, to show my support, to sort of integrate further into the Yuga network. And I think that's a powerful thing, right? And I think I just got the Welcome to Apes edit. So I thought that was sort of a nice touch. Obviously, community initiative, Welcome to Apes, and kind of taking that purchase of an asset, that joining of the club to actual belonging. And I think that's an important part of what we're talking about here. Is these are networks, for lack of a better word. These NFT communities that we built, they're networks of people, of real people. There are people behind these PFPs. And I think the most important part of that is, and I've D-Farmer actually wrote something about this, and I sort of latched on to the thought because I had seen it around as well. And that is network art. Network art being, what is a PFP collection? It's a cohesive art piece of individual PFPs that we own, right? And we're all a part of this network, and we can identify each other by the PFP. And that's a powerful thing, right? Like we've built this thing, we can identify each other. We're a part of it because we've joined it and we belong to it. And from that point, from joining and belonging comes that culture, right? The culture that we co-created, and we're proud of that shit. Like this was co-created by individuals that we know online, hopefully have interacted with IRL, and we're proud of this thing that we built together, and we want to show it off. And I think that's like you say, that it's a super powerful aspect of what we've all been doing here, because we have co-created this culture together. And we have found, we've found belonging here. We found meaning here. And these are obviously very fundamental, things that pull humans in, because belonging to something is, something that we've always wanted as human beings. It's inbuilt into our sort of, our DNA. We are social animals. And finding meaning there. I mean, we're in this sort of lack of meaning world, right? We're in this world where all the edifices of power, of control, of structure have just fallen apart, from the church, from government institutions. They've all been proven fallible. And I think probably because the internet showed it to us, right? Like these hierarchies don't really stand up to scrutiny. And I think once we transition from the hierarchical organizations to network-based organizations, we'll start to understand the power of networks, the power of belonging, and the power of what we've co-created here as a bunch of monkey pictures on the internet. And again, like this is something that we're proud of, and it's something that like the network pulls people in on the periphery, right? Like you think of it sort of as this sort of porous membrane around the network, and out there on the periphery of the network is where you pull people in. And who's out there on the periphery of the network? The people that are doing paintball, and the people that are showing up online to have these kind of conversations. And you listen, and you're like, oh, like I'm sort of starting to get this thing. I'm sort of starting to understand that this is basically just a group of people having fun, right? Like this is a group of people creating something cool very culture art centric. It's on sort of the forefront of art, tech, culture, and that's where innovative people and people that that sort of like to explore want to be. And so hopefully that that will that will sort of continue. And to your to put a finer point on your point is that really happens. And the eureka moment really happens IRL, because you actually see people, right? Like you see all of these people that from all walks of life, come from from all different backgrounds. They look different, but they found each other online and they have this thing in common, and that's cool, and that's human, and this connection is real. And when you see that in real life, you go, wow, I didn't know this kind of still existed outside of those old those old institutions, those old sort of decrepit hierarchical institutions that have proven themselves fundamentally fallible because of their because of their sort of mechanisms of control. And you don't have sort of a say in it, which is another unique thing about what we're doing here is we have agency over this thing. We're we're co-creating this thing, and that's super powerful.
Yeah, man. Well said.
And to go back to what you were talking about earlier, dude, and I actually just bought my daughter, and this is kind of a new thing, and because we don't do smartphones and stuff, but I got her a landline. Wild to me. And I had a flip phone too. I had to raise a flip phone. Thought I was super cool. But I haven't had a landline in more than a handful of decades. It's been a really long time. But we got a landline, and it's all sort of a wireless thing, but no smart utility, just a phone, so she can call her little buddies.
Yeah, I didn't even when I said return to analog, going back to landlines was not on my in my brain, but I didn't know that was still a thing. I'm old enough to remember like the cool like every kid wanted on their Christmas list or their holiday list was the translucent landline phone. That or the football phone from Sports Illustrated. Those were two hot items. We've got a few hands here. I think I said Machiavelli, then Hizzy. We also had Achilles join us and Kaido Dan. I'm excited to get to Achilles because I don't want to put words in Achilles' mouth, but I feel like Achilles for a while was kind of feeling down. Maybe I'm mistaken, and when we get to him, he can correct me if I'm wrong. But I think he was feeling kind of down, kind of burnout, kind of bearish on NFTs. To where I think he's done now a full 180 and is becoming not only a believer but a great brand ambassador. He's added a few Grail communities, Grail NFTs, and love to see it. And I think a good perspective on how this space has ebbed and flowed. And one thing that we didn't hit on earlier, but before I go to Machiavelli here, talking about this conversation yesterday, talking about these brands and how much further the space is today from a maturation standpoint, from an infrastructure standpoint, from a team standpoint, from those that are selling real products, from a distribution standpoint. Let's not Pingu, by the way, since we're on the show, got that coffee with Captain Pump. It just broke 1 cent. It's now 0.01. Whoop, I spoke too soon. 0.099. It'll get back before we end the show. It's up 15% on the day. Now market cap's at 614 million, fully diluted at 759. Let's not forget that there's a large chunk of that is the company, the team. The company has valued at the current price point is about 87 million locked. The team has 134 million locked. And we talked about what RecCoin did for the Rec team and their marketing budget. This is like that on another scale. And who knows what I don't know what their plans are, but that is it's not nothing. This is an AI Insight summary says on April 20th. So today, 712 tokens valued at 6 million will unlock from company and current and future team allocations across 2 vesting events. Over the past 30 days, 712 million tokens were unlocked, and some of those burned. So just something to keep in mind there as we talk about where the space is today versus where it was, 5 years ago. And Pudgy in particular, one that Luca came in, bootstrapped the thing, and while they have secured a little bit of funding, very minor relative to, I mean, we just shared, 9 figures of a war chest that is coming unlocked. I don't say that to like fear everyone that the token's going to crush. I think they'll be, they're smart. They're really well. I don't think they're doing just to go rush and dump the token. I think there's a lot can be done with it. Also, before I go to Machiavelli, I saw some rumors, or Whale had a post about hearing rumors that OpenSea is going to consider an ICO round ahead of their token launch, and Adam's already put that rumor to bed. Pure engagement farming, no truth to this. Can confirm the foundation has not discussed anything like this with our team at OpenSea. That would be a foundation decision, but I can state that there are no discussions around this currently. So any rumor of one at the moment is made up nonsense. Yeah, you can just say things, and yeah. Anyways, I'm not gonna go on a rant. Machiavelli, go ahead, get back in your statement for myself.
Let's go ahead and hear from the community, Cap. Let's go to Hizzy, then we'll hear from Achilles. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, Hizzy, go ahead and get back in here, and then Achilles is on deck.
Just real quick, I did want to reiterate how much fun my son had in Other Side, and he does have a MetaMask wallet connected, and I do believe we can get at least maybe 2 other of his friends to do this, and so, yeah, we need to get them some delegation and get some codas or get some apes in them so they really, really enjoy it and see how fun it can be.
Love it. Achilles, was I correct in my read that you'd gotten a little down, maybe a little bearish on NFTs at large, and now you're all the way back?
Honestly, yes.
What was it?
I mean, Cap, at some point I felt that like we didn't have a direction, and I felt that also because I trade stocks a lot, and I was looking at the numbers, and things were kind of bearish. So for me, I thought like, okay, the consumer in the US and in general is not there. Is not like really buying any collectibles or going into kind of alternative investments or alternative kind of entertainment/investment schemes or strategies or ideas. So that's kind of where I was. And honestly, I felt that Figgy changed it. To be honest, I like it was as simple as that. I felt that the refresh in apes and apes being a symbol of the space got me really excited again. To be honest, like that's the main turning point. Like all the numbers and the data and stuff. Okay, fine. And then we reached the bottom at 2 billion for as a market cap for NFTs, which I think is pretty low. To be honest, like compared to collectibles. Cap, I collect watches. I collect like Royal Oaks and like APs and then IWCs and stuff. I really enjoy watches, and I have a lot of friends on Reddit. I'm very active on Reddit in the watch community, and I realized there is a lot of passion for collecting, and at the same time, people do not know about NFTs. They just do not. And we are living in a space where if we just make people understand that, hey, you're buying one of 10,000 NFTs, but that's not only it. You're actually buying one. Today I bought a penguin, a wizard, 1 out of 186, and then 1 out of 17 with red background. So for some people, it doesn't mean anything, but for collectors, it means a lot. It means a lot to be able to collect stuff like that.
Yes, that. Some people may laugh, but man, that's exactly it. Collectors collecting, like knowing like how many, this trait with this, how it exists. There's 3 of these in the collection. Like that's when we get back into this collector mentality that doesn't exist for all intents and purposes when there's incentivized farming taking place. Now that it's back to collectors collecting and we're starting to see momentum, like I love what you said. First of all, like that was, I feel similar. Like I didn't become bearish per se, but I was maybe unsure of what was next. What was going to be the catalyst? If you'd have said, oh, it's going to be Garga not being, stepping out of his CEO role, that's going to be the next catalyst, I wouldn't have got it. But it absolutely was. I agree wholeheartedly. I think, and I'm not trying to give one person all the credit for this resurgence, but I think it started there. He's not doing everything, but it started there. It started with, before it even got announced, of him refocusing, listening to the community feedback, doing some things. and he started this momentum. And then you're seeing a lot of other collections like re-engage, like, oh, we need to level up our game because Figgy's locked in. You know, they're shipping, and this, yeah, really, really well said. And I couldn't agree more. Appreciate you sharing. And yeah, it is exciting. And this, when you talk about that collector, like the $2 billion market cap, I think it was Luca yesterday said it's like 50 to 1. If you compare on, NFTs to traditional collectibles at like $100 billion or $50 billion market cap, it's like maybe there's a gap there. Like there's pros and cons of both. I think even someone like CSGO, Counter-Strike skins still have a larger market cap just themselves than all of NFTs. Like, make that make sense. And I think the time is the only answer I can come up with. One has been around for longer and is more distributed, has more awareness. Kaito Dan, I heard you had some takes yesterday on Loki Space as well. GM, what brought you up on the stage this morning?
Yo, GM, always an amazing conversation and show here. So props to you, Capt. No, I just wanted to add, right, my vision on that. And look, being into the community aspect of things, actually, I'm happy that people don't know about NFTs out there. I know it may sound controversial, but I think that we are not ready. Actually, the world out there is not ready to a certain extent, because what I said yesterday on Loki Space, we live in an era where the world out there is not digitally literate. So in 10 years from now, when the world out there will be completely, fully digitally literate, we're going to see the real NFTs like shining and be like the grails that we talk about right now. As of now, and I'm saying this because I'm very excited about what the timeline looks like. I'm very excited about everyone being excited, the bags up, the vibes are up, but I'm also very critical. Like, how much can this last? How much will it last? And when we're going to see those floor prices and such go down again, hopefully never, when that will happen, what will happen? And now that they are going up, what are we delivering to these new holders or new whatever, like who's coming to buy on new communities and such? Because I don't think that the offer that we have has changed. I don't think that we still found that alignment that Loki has always spoken about, because that's what we are trying to crack here, right? Like even Luke and Nats and the team and Bored Apes, like any single NFT ecosystem right now is trying to tackle, how do I make sense of having NFTs on one side and the products that I'm selling out there in the Web2 or wherever you want, how can we find this alignment, right? Because look, Pudgy Penguins, I think, is the best example. They are making millions out there with their plushies, with their toys, etc. How does that convert to the holder is the famous question that we all have, right? And there is no answer yet. And that's the same for any other ecosystem. So I'm very bullish on what's happening, but I always like to be critical in a way that we should think now that we have a bullish sentiment, now that we have all the minds, the mind share on the timeline, and all the minds back to us. Let's use these minds, these bright minds out there. Let's use ideas. Let's find the way to find that alignment, and let's make these NFTs not only big for another few days, another few weeks, but constantly big enough that they can convert also to the real core community. Because I think that that's like something that we need, and we still didn't find, even if I'm very bullish on what's happening right now.
Well said on many fronts. Loki, go ahead. I saw you came off mute.
Yeah, thank you. No, Kata, bro, like yesterday, Luca answered, how does it benefit the older answer, like for 1 hour or more, and you just say there is no answer there.
Well, the answer is that, right? that's the thing, brother.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned earlier the experience of Warner, so I think it was just people that are poorly educated. Maybe it's their fault, maybe it's team fault, not educating them enough. Just don't see the long vision, or maybe not even interested, because the first participants in NFT, they were speculators. But the market is maturing, and we're gonna reap the fruits. To go back to what Achilles say, every NFT in the last 2 years, every brand, they had this misalignment, they had this dilemma. Every holder was like, why am I even holding? Like, what's the value here? I don't feel value as a community member. I don't feel value buying my asset. As you see, we lost the premium on grails, on rares. So what am I doing here? So what happened the last week basically was something that I think GBC did last year, and it set up the whole space for a riot. So BayOC bring it back, the core, return to NFTs, return to monkeys, the core of NFTs, and basically it's telling you we care about you, and that's all that matter.
Yeah, I don't want to downplay it. I don't want to make it seem easy, because again, it's not easy, but it is simple. Like we know the playbook. Where the hard part comes in is the consistency, is to continually do it time and time and time again. And I guess my one piece of unsolicited advice to any Web3 NFT teams out there is just keep shipping, just keep doing the stuff. No announcements of announcements. You don't need to try to hype something up, because that's probably going to be a letdown. Just maybe weekly's too much. Maybe you can't come up, but do something every month. Just do something every month. Whether it's your leaders hang out on a voice chat in Discord, like your version of an Inner Igloo, or at the clubhouse, but then don't just do the same thing. You have something new you're talking about, or some new activation, sponsor some in real life meetups or something. Like, constantly be doing something, keep the momentum moving. That's where it's hard, is it doesn't have to be the latest, greatest thing. It doesn't have to be something that's revolutionizing, NFTs or blockchain technology. There's a reason every supermarket, or nearly every supermarket in the country, has some sort of promotion every month. They lean into a retail holiday. Retail holidays are made up, but it's something to drive momentum around. It's like here's a free activation. Just do something with it. I mean, that on the simplest form, I think NFT brands could just lean into the monthly retail holiday and do something around that. Like, something every month goes a long, long way towards that consistency. And maybe 6 out of 12 months, me or another person, it doesn't resonate, or we don't care about it. But you know what? The other 6 do. I think where we run into issues is trying to be perfect and having to have, well, this has to be the next latest, greatest thing. And you spend 8 months building the thing, and half your community doesn't care about it. And you just, and now it's like, okay, we got to wait another 8 months to where maybe they do something that matters for me. It's these little things really, really do add up. Let's go. I see Ilan's hand. Let's go, Ilan. And then I tried to hold for the coffee break as long as I could. I'm going to have to step away real quick. I'm going to mute my mic or my camera, but I'll be able to hear you, Ilan. Machiavelli, do you mind if Ilan's done before I get back? Do you mind filling in? I'll be right back. Go ahead, Ilan.
Yes, sir. Yeah, bro. I can fill some space. Look, I think I think about this in a very sort of a natural way, right? Like, and back to what I was saying earlier about network-based organizations, like networks do in nature, they expand they have these expansionary periods, and oftentimes those expansionary periods can be exponential, right? And this sort of boils down to the resources available for the network, right? Usually in nature, it's fuel, and the fuel for this particular network that we're in was liquidity. And so when the liquidity flooded in, like there was an exponential sort of expansion, right, of the network. And what brought people in was the culture. And during sort of expansionary periods, especially when it's sort of exponential, you have way too many sort of voices, like the core message, the culture sort of gets a little diluted, right? Like as you expand like that. And oftentimes, like, because these are run by human beings, because the mega node is, the leaders, right? The founders, they sort of interpret this expansionary period, in different ways. Sometimes it can be like that they're so smart, right? Like that what they're doing is correct, and that's the only way to do it, or whatever, right? Like there's not enough flexibility whenever the core is sort of making all the decisions, because they can misinterpret that expansionary period. But what obviously what essentially happened is we had that mega boom, we had that expansionary period. We had sort of this blow off top. We had, too many speculators, and that became like the blow off top, right? Like that became the purpose was that hyper financialization and flipping, and the core, the culture sort of got diluted, right, by that hyper financialization. But when you take that sort of layer off, right, when you have that blow up top, and the network itself retracts in on itself, and the people, right, the real people, the people that are here for the right reasons, continue, they stay, they build, they distill the culture, they continue to co-create the thing that like brought people in the first place, which was the cool factor of these things. And I think that, largely what essentially has happened over the last little bit is we've done that, right? Like we had the blow up top, we had the speculation, we had the bubble and it burst. And then, a lot of these projects got back down to the distilled nature of why we're all here and what we're doing. And that varies, right? Like obviously all teams should build what they're intending to build, and it's not all the same. Like it's not a one size fits all, and that's the power of networks. Like is there's power in diversity. And I think, like, obviously, Bored Ape being sort of the face of this whole thing, like it makes sense that they sort of catapulted out of that distillate phase the quickest, right? Because the culture was, I mean, they sort of built the culture of this whole thing, right? And that was, what Garga and team, Gordon and the boys like did. They, they built this sort of, sort of smutty avant-garde sort of counterculture thing. And that was what was cool. That was the hook, right? And obviously Monk and I mean Return to Monk, like that it's clutch. Like you say, Return to Monk, to people that are in the space and have lived this space, they know exactly what you're talking about, because BAYC built the kernel culture of this whole thing. And that's sort of the way I look at it. I'm not either up or down. I'm always sort of, we'll see. And at the moment we're in this sort of gray area where we could once again find real traction. The power of these networks can pull people in. We can onboard one by one, and even to a larger degree mass onboard when people when the message is more clear. In the beginning, the message wasn't super clear, and that's why it got convoluted in the hyperfinancialization, narrative. But now we have this ability to say, okay, these are clubs, these are networks, these are things that you can join, have fun with your friends online, and even hook up IRL. And you don't have to have an icebreaker, because the ice is already broken. You can slot right in. You can in IRL, you already have something in common. You already know these people online. And there's real power in that, in the connectivity, human to human connectivity, because a lot of times people they can't really break that ice. They don't know how to, and particularly in digital age, they don't know how to specifically connect with just random people out there, because you don't know what you have in common, aside from maybe you live in the same geographical area, right? But with these tokens, you already have something in common, and you already know what that thing is. And from there, you can build meaningful relationship.
Yep.
There's power in that.
Yeah. One thing you said too, that you talk about the message. What is the message? What is the, and I'm probably going to get a hard time for invoking this one, because it didn't, they ended up not really having one, and it became more of a meme than anything. But I remember, for a minute, Moonbirds was talking about like their true north, and you got a couple years ago they had like 4 pillars. Like, this is what the brand's about. Why? What are you? Why should I buy this NFT? And for some, this is as a collectible. It's art on chain. Okay, that's cool. But I think most, at least the club-based ones, the community-based ones, often it's more than just art. And if I'm talking about, do something every month, have some sort of activation, have something to keep that momentum going. Yes, but does it support your main pillars? Does it support what you're about? Like, clearly not only communicating, but from the top down throughout the organization. So not only internal team members, but also the community. Like it's we talk about this is season 2 is going to be out 1v1 onboarding. Well, how does Hizzy onboard someone when he goes to the next car meetup with another ape and they meet? So like, what even are they're wearing merch? Like when someone asks, "What is that?" Like, how do they explain it? And it's easier for them to explain, not just them personally, but anyone in a community, if there's some consistent messaging from the team. And I think that can get overlooked, or as teams try to find product market fit with their products, it can get a little convoluted or confusing for the team. Like, what is it about? I buy a ape so I can get the avatar and other side? Well, that's one utility you get, but that's not what the Bored Ape Yacht. That's not the only aspect of the Bored Ape Yacht Club. That's not might someone if they're deep in other side and they've been playing other side and they want to go get a Grail avatar in there. Sure, that's maybe why they buy an ape, but that's not why my friend who's never gamed before would buy an ape. And I think being able to have clear messaging around what does this mean? What are we doing here? And I'm not saying we have to wait until the clubhouse, but that clubhouse having a physical real life component, that's an easy in. That's an easy conversation starter or an icebreaker, or however you want to word it. I know he can speak a little more clearly when it comes to communications. Mike, thoughts on that, and then feel free to take it whichever direction you would like to go. I see your hand back up. Thoughts on the messaging?
Absolutely. I want to yes and what you're talking about. As a real life example for me in particular, I'm going to just sort of shout myself out for a second. When a project gives me the information that I need to go talk about it, well, then I can go talk about it. And I'm very comfortable doing that. And that's one thing that frustrates me sometimes with different projects, is that everything is kept so close to the vest that now I don't need to know technical details and all that kind of stuff because I'm not a tech person necessarily. But I can go talk about something. I mean, I helped 2 projects get minted out and a token get bonded simply because I was in spaces hanging out and, communicating with people and enjoying people, and they said, "What's going on?" So I would tell them. And in one case, the host said, "Oh man, let's all go support Mike's project." And I went, "Whoa, hold on. It's not my project." They go, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm a community member." And they're like, "Whoa, okay. Now we really want to go see what's going on, because if a community member is talking about it in this fashion, then we need to know what's happening over there." So I just wanted to add that to what you were talking about with, shipping things and keeping people up to date. Give them enough information, your community, so they can talk about it. And you'll be really surprised how many real ambassadors you have at that point.
Yep. Well said. And while I might speak every day on this space for a few years and Mike's a professional speaker, even we could use help. And your average community member probably isn't a polished orator, probably is not someone that is accustomed to onboarding people, or they probably don't come from a background in sales, or like, it's just like that those little things go a long way. And there's not any one answer. There's not any one, you have to message this or you have to message that. But I do think having a consistent message, doing consistent things, activations, not thinking everyone has to be a huge thing or a major event, or this is going to send the floor. I mean, if you can do an activation once a month and that onboards one person, that's a win. I think, and because what that'll lead to, if you build some momentum, all of a sudden you're going to be like what Mutants have ran off here over the past month. They're onboarding 3 net new members per day. It's 1,000 a year. Just stay consistent. Supply demand is a real thing when you got fixed supply. Like, it doesn't take that long to see how there's no available supply, at least not at the current price points. I just retweeted someone said, they did the meme on, Mutants at 0.7 and there's no one buying, Mutants at 1.7 and you got a line of people around the block. It's pretty funny. This was from up into just maybe it wasn't just shared this. I just happened to see it hit my timeline. But yeah, mutants at 0.7. No one's in the door. It's 1.7 line out the door. This was actually 3 days ago. So didn't always get a new account locked out. Always good to find. I've also connected with a lot of new people, new follows in the past week, some of which have been in NFTs for a while. Just for whatever reason, our paths haven't crossed. And so we talk about this space and how small it is, but yet still large. That to me is proof positive that it's bigger than we think, because again, I've been here pretty much every day for the last 5 years, and there's still a lot of people that I've not yet interacted with, not yet, our paths haven't crossed yet. Bigger than we think. I see Ellen's back up, but let's go. I see Honeybee and then I think Machiavelli want to get back in here. So we'll go Honeybee, Ellen, and then Mac, if you wanted any final thoughts. And then I do got to get out of here soon. If anyone else has a take you're really passionate about and you want to join the conversation, give me a wave or something. Otherwise, we'll probably go lightning round and get everyone out of here. I got to get packed. I just realized, oh man, I flight out early tomorrow morning, and that means I got to get everything done today before I, not going to surprise anyone that I don't really prep or plan too far ahead of travel. But yeah, I got to get packed in and do a few other things before I hit the road tomorrow for the week. But Ilan, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think obviously from talking about these things as networks, like the meganode has to push, and like the most important part of the network is information relay, right? And information relay comes from it's bidirectional. It's every which way. That's sort of the power of Web3. And so whenever I think about BAYC, I think about it's a social club, right? And that's something we talk about. We've been talking about here, on your show for a handful of weeks here, and that's the hook, right? Like it's a social club, and you show your membership by purchasing one of these assets, and that's sort of the entree. And I think we've seen that meme kind of run around on the timeline, right? It's like I bought a lifetime membership, and there's real power in that. And I think like that being the core message is huge, because from that you can do anything. You can have, I'm a part of BAYC, but also BAYC Car Club or whatever sub community, BAYC Cigar Club, whatever it may be. And that's again the power of the network, and self-organizing, right? Because you have this group of international people, and they're all a part of BAYC, and then they can take it upon themselves and take the initiative to create a sub community that is that interface, right, with the rest of the world. So the foundational level is on BAYC, and then the next level is the sub community of also this, that, the other thing, and that allows you to sort of evolve into again that network, have different nodes, and have that liaison with the world, the IRL world, that says that, we're complex individuals and we have one thing in common, and from that we built this whole other massive thing, which is huge.
Yeah, man, it's an exciting time, and it really does feel like we've come a long way. And I'm not sure even those that have been here over the course of the last 4 or 5 years quite realize the foundational layer that's been built. And yes, hype, I am still holding my Mimus. 1 million in secondary volume in less than 2 weeks. Pretty awesome. Floor price up to 238. Love to see the momentum from the lower price mints, the free mints, and everything in between. I do, while we've been talking a lot about like legacy collections, 21, 22 collections. There was a Good Vibes Club mentioned. There's been, like Mimus and several other, the Gimbos and the Pixel Pups and several others have done well in 2026. I do think there is, I don't know, I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but I think if we see this momentum continue, I do think we might see others look to NFT mints as a way to not just bootstrap some initial capital, some operating capital, but more importantly, the community. I just think it's not going to be, I saw a take over the weekend. Someone said, we won't be back until we see a free mint rip to 10 ETH in a few weeks. I don't think we see that. And I don't think we should, I don't think that's a good thing, actually. I don't think it's healthy if we see things ripping on pure speculation and hype. I think season 2 is going to be a lot more about substance and flow steady, consistency, builders building and shipping, and not just pure hype and promotion and bots. And so, yeah, I don't think that I don't want to see something go from a free mint to 10 ETH overnight. I think that to me is almost like a red herring or a red flag. If we see that, to me, it shows there's probably manufactured and more hype than substance. Now, the exception would be, I don't know, someone like a Gary Vee that has millions of followers on socials. Like if Mr. Beast decides to launch a free NFT collection, yeah, that thing's going to rip to 10 ETH very quickly. But assuming he would do so similar to how Gary did it, with a well thought out multi-month campaign of onboarding people and teaching them, and not just self launching a free NFT mint. Honeybee, did you want to get in here?
Yeah. I was kind of going off of what you're riffing off of what you're talking about. Is I think it's just a maturity, right, of across the board, and it kind of reminds me a lot on. I think Frank D Gods talked about this a good amount on D Gods, was like the network states, right, from Balaji, and how we're kind of seeing that, right? Like we started internet first, and now we're going to like physical. We're like, okay, let's meet up and create these physical geographical nodes and really get, build this foundation as communities, find our tribe, find our people, and kind of like really build on that experience, the lore individually, and like really make you part of what it feels to be in a community. And I think people forget community is a verb, right? It's not an adjective. It is something you live. I think if you're here, if you're listening in, you're living a lifestyle, bro. Like you're living the thing. So how you participate is very important, and it doesn't have to be big. I think Captain, you did a great job explaining. Like you just talk to one person a day, connect with one person a day, host your own event if you would like, and show some hospitality. And I think we're seeing that. It's like this expansion, like Ilan was talking about, but at the same time, we're slowing down right now in the second phase of like, first, let's get physical. Let's like touch each other, no diddy. And then be like, okay, let's take it. Let's build on it. And then go to the next phase where we're like, okay, now we know we're all solidified. We all know who the people are that do shit. Let's like amplify this even further, right? Collectively. And it's cool to see. And I think Ape Chain and Bored Apes have are seeing the resurgence because of that, right? Like we're on that second phase of this like whole network state, theory.
Yeah, man. Well said, man. We are back. Like it's I can't say it has nothing to do with floor price. It does, but it's not the driver. It is a effect of being back. And just as I was saying earlier, you see one person kind of start this wave this time, and this be Figgy, and listening, and not just firing from the hip, but listening, hearing a community, delivering what communities asked for, shipping at a breakneck speed, even simple little things. You have an idea, ship it, especially if you got good talented people around you. And you do something like Grails, you do something like a sales bot. Seems simple. It hits when you start seeing the activity. You start seeing a lot of more Grails sell, and probably in the last week that have sold the year to date. I'm guessing that might actually be an accurate statement. I'm saying that shooting from the hip. But then you got to mention, Pudgy's launched their sales bot. Eli just out 5 minutes ago, off the press, released Canon Punks. It is a private registry for crypto punks. He says new punk collectors are looking for specific traits and combinations. Collectors are collecting. Not just any punk, but over 6,000 punks sit in wallets that haven't used a marketplace in over 12 months. These punks are effectively invisible to collectors because public listings don't reflect the nuances of how owners actually think about selling. Canon Punks adds private listings open to offers, letting owners signal availability without committing to a public price. For collectors, this means a wider pool and better odds of finding a punk they love. Loved punks are more likely to be held long-term. Built on the Node API, a portion of feeds will go to the Node Foundation. Again, maybe Eli's been working on this for months, and this happens if Figgy and Yuga doesn't launch their Grails OTC. I'll ask Eli. I doubt it. I think this was probably inspired by Grails launching from Yuga. It just again, is this by itself going to do anything? Like, is this a major deal? Not really, but it is. It is in the cumulative. It is in the collective of all these little things. Just like interest compounds, like all these little things compound, not just in one brand or one collection, but across collections. It really does add up, and it starts this flywheel of everyone friendly competing. And I don't want to say attempting to one up each other, but I think it was Walt Disney said he never stole an idea he didn't like. It's okay. Something worked, copy it. In school they called it cheating. But in the business world, it's called masterminding. It's called net. It's like if something's working for someone else, if something work, like copy it, duplicate it. It's okay. Every idea doesn't have to be an original idea, original thought. You don't have to just take blind swings and hope you hit. Like something works, put your own little twist on it, bring it into your fold. More of this, more experimenting, more innovating on chain. And then that trickles throughout the space at large. I'm old enough to remember the very first gated merch drop. Now we don't think much about it. Pretty revolutionary when Yuga did it the first time. Now it's like table stakes. You gotta, have gated merch or exclusive merch. By the way, I did get a hat. I don't know if I'm gonna wear it. So the debate is gonna be, does it just sit on the shelf behind me? Do I raffle it off? I know there was a lot of people who didn't get the hat. Maybe we'll do something.
I'm trying
fun.
to trade one, Cap. I want to trade one of those hats for a Bored Ape. Somebody hit me up. You know what I'm saying?
I would trade a hat for I would trade the hat for Bored Ape too.
I would trade the hat for a Bored Ape.
I'll even one up Machiavelli. Then I'll trade mine for a mutant.
I'll give 2 for a mutant.
True story. I actually thought about buying another mutant for the first time in a while. This one would be as a trade, right? Like I'm in the club. I don't need more, but I want more because
you need it. You need it.
I do think they're underpriced. I think that the not only our space, I think the public will realize that once the clubhouse opens, and I am that bullish on the clubhouse, so I have plenty of Yuga exposure. To me, it's a conviction trade that once I think, like, do I think it's going to justify a 40 ETH floor price to get access to the VIP room of the club? No, but I think it's going to be really easy to justify whatever 1.7 times 2. What is it, like 34 grand or something right now? Anyways, great conversation this morning. I really appreciate everyone who added to it. Shoot me a wave. Anyone with any final thoughts, closing words? I see Justin coming up. Actually, we'll get Justin in here, and then we'll get everyone out of here. I got to get out of here before 11. I get in trouble with producer Payne if we run over 3 hours. It breaks everything we do on the behind the scenes from a systematic standpoint with the recordings and stuff. But Justin, been a while. Always a pleasure. GM, what brought you up this morning?
Yeah, hey man. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about the comeback of NFTs and all. And one thing I want to highlight, at least what I've been seeing, is what I think is happening is not necessarily on chain versus off chain, or Web3 versus Web2, or digital collectibles versus physical collectibles. It's experiential versus purely transactional, and that's like what's happening more broadly amongst companies. That's why, like at Coachella, you had more brand pop-ups in the desert than you had like music acts, like literal, like retail companies opening up a store in the middle of the desert for 2 days. And when I say experiential, I'm mostly the common denominator is it's an enabling interactivity between the brand and the audience, and that's just something that is kind of permeating like the zeitgeist of our times. It also happens to coincide with like the last 3 years, are the first 3 years that there's been a decline on time spent on social compared to going offline. And it's led by the youngest generation, like high schoolers and college students. Not to say that they're offline, they're spending more time IRL. And that doesn't mean, again, exclusive of digital. A lot of the IRL experiences actually incorporate digital, right? But it's a sense of interactivity and experiential, and something more than just, doom scrolling. And so bringing it back to NFTs, I don't think it's a coincidence that the whole IRL meetup and club talk, meta amongst Yuga and Bored Apes is what I think at least partially, maybe significantly, initiated all of this. And then you saw a lot of fervor. Now, a lot of the rest of the fervor, in my view, is still speculation. And so that speculation can be very fleeting. But I think Yuga has a very solid route. Let me put it out there. Maybe I don't have bag bites because I'm like more of a tourist in here, but I do have Yuga assets. I have like my Forever Ape, etc. But I do truly think objectively that it's within their DNA to be an experiential brand, right? That's why the physical clubhouse, etc. And they prompted everything else. And I would just say, like, I think it's important for other brands to really look into that importance of experiential and that interactivity. Now, most of the world doesn't care about centralized or decentralized or blockchain or not, but blockchain enables interactivity very easily and the tracking of interactivity. So it's just a tool in the toolbox to create that experiential. And the last thing I'll say is that in order for it not to be fleeting and more lasting, remember when I came in, like as just a collector in 21, it's because like I love digital art, I love collectibles, etc. And there were a lot of new entrants, and a lot of them, including a lot of my friends, are long gone, right? And so I think it's important to like re-attract those people or bring in new people again. And the world is craving experiential, so there's like a massive opportunity here. I do think actually it's interesting if OpenSea does some sort of like token and somehow they communicate that to all the like 21 collectors who are no longer here and they come back. There's an interesting opportunity there where like if there's a way to via email marketing or whatever to communicate to all those people that are long gone but that actually traded a lot in 21 and they're like, wait, I now have like an airdrop that and now there's like actually like these collections are still doing things. There's an interesting opportunity to connect that with more collecting amongst those people that were truly here for collecting.
Yep.
Anyways, that's all I want to say.
Great take. I'm nodding ahead nodding in agreement the whole time because you're talking about Heartsprings, you're talking about experiential. I wholeheartedly agree. And to your point, it's not just a crypto thing. It's not just a Web3 thing. It's where the world is heading. I was talking about Gary V on TBPN talking about the world's going as we become more. Everything becomes more artificial. There's this increasing, exploding demand for analog and experiential at retail in real life. Like that's what people are craving. And Yuga's position, I mean, many of these brands are. Yuga's positioned very well because that's been a core of what they've built and where they're heading with the clubhouse. But to your point, blockchain unlocks more. Like it enables experiential establishments, experiential retail, like you can do more with it because you can track fandom better. Like there's so much the technology can unlock. And yeah, I think that like this is happening, whether crypto native brands do it or not. I think crypto native brands are just positioned to capitalize on this better than a lot of traditional brands because the technology unlocks more and most of them have a loyal, rabid fan base that wants to hang out. They want to get together. And it's almost like it's a cheat code. They're ahead of some legacy brands that might be a decade older than them, but don't necessarily have the fan base of friends. Like there might be fans of regular brands, but they've probably never interacted before. Or if they have, it's been some random forum somewhere and they're not hanging out in group chats, they're not hanging out on spaces. I think there's really something there. And yeah,
Cap, can I ask you a question based on everything I just said? So with everything I just said, I'm confused about one thing. In my view, unless I'm overlooking something, I also think Doodles has been one of the best, quote, experiential brands, right? And why don't we see as much momentum within them compared to others?
Can I give unfiltered, candid take on this one? I think.
Yeah, of course.
I think. Well, I don't know if you cut earlier in the space. We were talking about Warner. Do you know Warner? It's a collector in the space.
Yeah.
So Warner shared that he got onboarded to Doodles and back into NFTs because he saw the Doodles on the McDonald's cup. And talking like experiential in real life and that bringing people in. They've done a great job with the brand. They've done a lot of great activations. I think one of the misses has been some connective tissue there. Like an actual thought out funnel to where someone sees a McDonald's cup or they go to a camp activation, then what? how do they bring them into the fold? And I don't want this to be taken out of context. I think Burnt Toast is an incredible artist. I do love the art. I love the IP. I think what the difference between, and they have seen, I mean, they're up to 0.64. They've seen some momentum too. But I think from my perspective, the biggest difference between why Doodles hasn't seen some of the excitement of some of these other brands is, and I think where they would is if Burnt Toast does a similar move as Garga, and Burnt Toast goes to more of a chairman of the board and backfills like a CEO role. Regardless of your feelings on Julian, I think he was a great CEO. I think he did a lot for that brand, and I think he was a great operator. He understood the physical and the traditional world, or the digital and the traditional world, both. And not every great artist is a great CEO. And I'm trying to choose my words better, because I'm not trying to knock Burnt Toast. He's an incredible artist, one of the most talented artists, not just in the space, but period. His art, it stands out. You see Doodle art, you know exactly what it is. That's hard to do. They've done a great job with that. I just think he needs a strong number two. That's it. I think that if he had a Figgy, I think the conversation around Doodle would be a lot different. I don't know if that checks out or not, but again, I'm trying to not make it about the individual, but in the case of leadership with the company, I do think a strong number two, an operator, and then also the other thing that does is just like Figgy stepping into the CEO role allows Garga to focus more on the creative and the lore and the storytelling and the brand building. Same thing with Doodles. It free up from, because I don't know Scott, I don't know Burnt Toast like that well. I don't have a personal relationship with him. We've interacted a few times. He's creative. I doubt that he enjoys everything that comes with the CEO role. Just my guess. And if you're spending half your day is putting out fires or dealing with headaches or things that you don't really enjoy doing, that's going to wear on your creative output. Whereas you find someone that does all the stuff he doesn't necessarily enjoy doing, or maybe isn't the best in the world at, then it's not only does he shift 50% of his time back to the creative output, it's freeing up that brain space. He's able to really thrive in the environment that he loves, doing what he loves and does what he does best. And that's my simple answer. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's maybe the gap is lacking a strong number two. And no offense to anyone else on the team.
As I was thinking through, as you were speaking, I was thinking through also potentially my answer or other answers. I'm also thinking maybe it could also just be like a different brand strategy, in the sense that I think one thing that happens is that people think just because of the massive saturation or proliferation of a brand, that's going to be, quote, increased to floor price, which isn't necessarily correlated, right? Like Hello Kitty, Mickey Mouse is everywhere, and you could buy their products officially less than $1 on certain things, right? And so I'm wondering, is it more, are they taking the route of more of a mass market versus an exclusive club kind of route? Is that maybe just brand strategy? Because look, even 0.6, whatever that is, about $1,000 or so dollars, that's still a lot of money for most people. Here, It would be oh, that's so low. But actually in the most of the world, that would be pretty high to get entry to something, right? So I don't know. Is there potentially that going on too?
Potentially. And I know they had the wearables and the doodles. I think that's where, talking earlier about the message, what is the message? What is that path for someone new that wants to join the doodles community that doesn't want to go spend 0.64 ETH on a OG NFT? I don't know the answer. I do want to give credit. I'm a big fan of Dude Lifts. Dude Lifts recently joined the team, left Flow, and he'd been a community member for a long time. And I think, that's probably why we're seeing some of this movement recently. Dude Lifts was on the space yesterday. He represents Doodles very well, but I don't know if they had that voice for a while. And I think that's important. I do gotta get out of here. I got 60 seconds before I run over the 3-hour mark. Really enjoyed the space today. I know I went on a monologue to kick things off, but shout out to Loki and Machiavelli and Proof Alpha DGen for hosting that NFT space yesterday. That really inspired a lot of this entire show today and this conversation. Shout out to Justin and Honeybee and Ilan and Kaido Dan and Mike and Hizzy, Achilles and Loki and everyone else who joined us on stage. I greatly appreciate all the input. You guys all make the show. We will be back tomorrow. The reminder link is pinned up top. Go hit that because we're probably going voice only. I've got a flight tomorrow morning, and tomorrow's show might be a little shorter than normal. Probably back to regular time on Wednesday, Thursday, but likely going voice only this week. And then we'll be back with our regularly scheduled stream programming on Wednesday. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow morning.